Okay. Yeah, there we go. There we go. There we go. So some people still filing in. I appreciate you all. I appreciate you all. Got me some tea over here. Got my tea. Katrina got me right. It's hot now. It's too hot. I don't want to waste it in front of y'all. Give y'all something to laugh at on here. That'd be a technical difficulty. That'd be a technical difficulty. All right. All right. So we're about to get it started. We're about to get it started. Greetings, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Tonight, I should say, for Beyond the Veil, Beyond the Veil, how to free yourself after a spiritual awakening, or just how to free yourself in general. And that's what I hope to convey through this message. That's what I hope to break down throughout this class. We got some great literature that we're going to be going into. We're going to be going into the Rudolf Steiner's book. We're going to go into my book. I got a couple of spots from my book that we're going to be talking about. And I'm also going to be going into as well as the workbook that I'll be giving you all at the end of this. You'll be able to, of course, go through it yourself. Of course, like I was telling everybody before, all the classes are recorded, so you can catch this at a later date. If it's overwhelming, it's too much, or you need to look it up or get references, that's fine. You can always go back and study. That's what this knowledge is about. And for you to show up here, this must mean that you're supposed to get this type of information, because most people steer away from these type of topics. Most people steer away from esoteric knowledge. Most people steer away from metaphysical topics. But the age that we're in and the stages that we're in this reality, it's the perfect time to be able to get this type of information. And it's so free-handed, or not free-handed, but it's so accessible. But people don't choose to access it. And that's one of the main things that we're going to talk about within this class when we go into Rudolf Steiner and the initiation steps that it takes going through finding a self remembrance, finding yourself once again. Um, everybody good? Everybody good? Everybody with me? I'm gonna ask that throughout there. And like I said, if you want to go into the chat, you got a question, or you want to just say a little something, you can go in there. I like to engage with you all. It's gonna be it's gonna be a class where you can kind of loosen up. Won't have to be too stiff about it. Just hope everybody doing well. All right. Now, one thing that we do prior to starting the class, I always like to do just what we say like a breath work exercise or a breathing exercise. You can do this on your own, on your side over there, and this is just to kind of get everybody in sync, everybody in tune, everybody kind of on the same um, thought form or thought atmosphere at this time with good intentions, with good intent, with good intentions. See, we come together, it's more powerful. That's one of the laws of the universe. So the breath exercise is it's very basic. Peace, Sovereign. I see you, Sovereign. Peace to you. It's very basic. We do this before the class. And it's just to loosen up, just to loosen up and get yourself into that mood, get yourself into that mode, get yourself into that learning process. So how we begin it is we pretty much here we're just going to I wish I had some of my instruments and things, but I didn't want to pull that out for more technical difficulties. So we're just going to do it within ourselves through the breathing exercise. So the way that you begin this breathing exercise is, first loosen up yourself a bit, stretch how you need to get some of the tension out your body. Let's loosen up some of the things you've been through today. It's been a Sunday. I don't know if you've been chilling. I don't know if you've been working. I don't know if you've been with the kids. I don't know if you've just been lonely or had a heavy day or a good day. Let's just release it and let's get our intention set on learning in this class, and for me to get my intention set on delivering it to you properly. So, you loosen up a bit, get that energy flowing, get that vibration higher, raise that vibration a bit. You can stretch a bit, whatever you may need to do. And then we're going to begin the breathing exercise. So I'm just going to explain it real quick. So just a basic box breathing. We're going to do 4 breaths in, then we're going to do 4 breaths I'm sorry, 4 breaths in, and then we're going to hold it for 4, and then we're going to release it for 4. Now I'll walk you through it at first, but I'm going to do it myself. So I'm going to walk you through it at first. So as long as you're comfortable now, get in comfortable space. Okay. So we're going to start with breathing in slowly. 3, 2, 1. Hold. 3, 2, 1. Release. 3, 2, 1. Breathe in. Hold it. Release. I'm going to do that 2 more times. Breathe in. Hold it. And release. One more time. Breathe in. Hold it. Release. All right, perfect, perfect. I hope that got everybody feeling a little bit better, a little bit in tune. I hope they got removed any anxiety or anything like that. So let's begin. So class today is called Beyond the Veil. How to free yourself after a spiritual awakening. I first want to begin here. One of the things I like to do, I start off big, just like I did my last class. I start off with that universal talk, the bigger aspects of reality, and then we break it down into how it's relatable to us. The initiation process, basically things that tie into us, we make it smaller, and then we bring it to the smallest point of just techniques and different things like that that you can do um, to protect yourself or to align yourself up with your higher purpose and different things like that. So we're going to start off big. We start off with the universe, then we go into the smaller aspects of it, which is yourself and the initiation process and waking up and your spiritual awakening and tips and things like that. Then we'll go into the techniques. Everybody with me? I hope that makes sense to everybody. Hope that makes sense to everybody. And just like the last class, we were talking about beyond the veil. We were talking about going beyond the veil, seeing through the veil. I just kind of do a recap of that class, even if you missed it or you weren't there. I just want to do a brief recap because it kind of builds up to this class that we're in now. Not necessarily saying you had to take the last class to be able to understand this class, but in the last class we talked about so many different things because we got into we got into the prophecies, the ancient prophecies that came to the understanding of the times that we're in based on the cosmos, based on the alignment of the star systems, having a deeper effect on human consciousness. When we went over time, we looked at time from not the standpoint of the past or going in a line. We looked at time as an up and down flow. We looked into the prophecies and the Yugi cycles and the ages of saying it was times where humanity was at a low point and it was times where humanity were at a high point, and you can look at that through history, and you can look at that through structures, and you can look at the times that we're in now, that we're going through what we would say a reawakening or a master reset or an awakening of those ancient teachings and those in that ancient knowledge at a higher rate based on the fact of the cycle that we're in currently. It's a lot of chaos at this time. It's a lot of drama at this time, but it's a lot of people that's waking up because the earth is cleansing, and we talked about based on the position that the earth was in close to the sun determines our consciousness and that ebb and flow, that up and down of our consciousness. And that's what that class was basically about. And then it went into going over your shadow aspect of yourself, what you can do with this. Just because we know that, it's like, okay, I know about the prophecies, I know about these yuga cycles, I know about these different ages. Yeah, that's cool and all, but what does that mean to me? And it meant the same type of cleansing that the earth is going through, the same type of reset that the earth is going through. That's what we must do within ourselves, as above so below. That's what we're meaning here. If we see what the energy is on the outside and all the chaos and those things going on, we look at it and how it affects our reality and our energy. And one of the main things I said is, this is a good time to go deep within your own shadow, deep within your own shadow, to see your traumas, to see how this world has affected you, to see the certain things that you have that create your perspective on the world. This is the perfect time and it's the perfect season to wake up to that and take that deep work, because when you do that deep work, then you can shine in your light truly. That was the just of Beyond the Veil class. The veil has been lifted. The veil has been lifted. So I just wanted to kind of go into that to kind of let you know what to expect with this particular class, or how we're gonna build on that. See, we're going beyond the veil. So now we're looking at it from the standpoint of, what can I do? How does a spiritual awakening go for me? What are the stages? What are the different initiations? And when I get into that Rudolf Steiner, I can't do nothing but read it and interpret it, because I was going to shorten it, but I just got to read this and let y'all hear it so you can get that understanding. But let's go ahead and jump right in. Um, with the first part of the section. So it'll be 3 different sections with it. Like I say, we start big, then we go down to the small. Y'all still with me? Y'all still with me? Y'all still with me? We up in here. Okay, okay. I love it. I love it. I love it. All right. So let's begin. So we're going to start here. And one of the main things I wanted to begin with was, like I said, we're going to start big. We're going to start on the macro, and then we're going to go down to the micro. So first off, we got to begin with, what is a veil? I feel like I didn't go over that enough in the last class. So let's talk about, what is the veil? What is a veil? Let's start right there. Now we're going to look at these things, like I always say to everybody, this is a metaphysical, esoteric class. We're going to look at it from a spiritual standpoint and a metaphysical standpoint. When we talk about these certain principles and these certain ways of looking at reality, and everything can be referenced, and you can do more research on this. But and if you see me looking this way, this is more so me reading my notes. But from a metaphysical and esoteric standpoint, the veil refers to the spiritual barrier or illusions that separate the material world. And when we say the material world, throughout this, when we say that, we're talking about the world of the physical senses and the ego, the material world, the things that you can feel. And the veil is the separation or the spiritual barrier in between that physical and that non-physical aspects of reality. That makes sense. That makes sense. So from it's that veil, it needs to be lifted in order to really see what's going on, because if we just looking at the physical things that we see in front of us, we were only seeing reality from a small scope. We only seeing it from a very small percentage, a very, very small percentage. And a lot of people out here only look at reality from that standpoint, even though they know that reality is much more to it. It's much more to it. It's a physical and a metaphysical aspect to the world. So the veil is from a higher divine or transcendent realities. It is symbolic of covering that clouds the true nature of existence, obscuring deeper spiritual truths and higher states of consciousness. The veil is what puts that limit on us. That veil is what keeps us from sometime even losing your mind if you go too quickly into these type of topics and you go past that veil. And a lot of people do that with drugs and things like that. They blow their mind away, taking these different hallucinants, and then they get to that other side and they can't handle what they see on that other side, because that other side is going to show you your shadow, and it's going to be certain beings and certain things that you may have not have an understanding for, or an understanding of how to protect yourself from it. So when we do lift that veil, you have to be mindful that there's things that come with it, and that's the thing that we're going to talk about here. So you don't have to worry about those type of things, because you can, you got yourself together. You got yourself together. So spiritual separation, the veil represents the separation between the material plane, where most people live in ordinary consciousness, and higher and more subtle dimensions of reality, such as the spiritual world, the higher self, or the divine. So it's an illusion of duality, but in front of the veil. When you're in front of the veil, when you're looking at the spirit, when you're not looking at the spiritual aspects of this reality. So it's an illusion of duality. The veil prevents the perception of oneness and truth, causing individuals to receive the world as fragmented, as separate, and governed by time, space, and material. It reinforces the illusion of duality, where there is perceived gap between the physical and spiritual realms. And you see that every day. You see that every day within us. People just play the spiritual aspect off totally. And that's the times that we're in, because we have that veil over our eyes, because they don't, a lot of times things are in front of us to make sure that we don't know our true power, make sure we don't look at reality from a bigger point. They want you to stay in that same box, because while you're in that box, it's easier to be controlled, and it's easier to feel hopeless, to feel like you don't have any power, if that makes sense. If that makes sense. And now another, let me get the camera, let me clear it up, make sure I look good though. Mhm. Make sure I'm clear. Clear. That should be better for y'all. That should be better for y'all. But yeah, so that's the main thing. Thank you, Jenny. Thank you. So that's the main thing with the veil. So, and now the path, now what we're trying to get to a path of revelation. We're trying to get past the veil. We're trying to go deeper into the truths of this reality. We're trying to get past that, right? We're trying not to be in that box. We're trying not to be feeling separated from everything, being separated from nature, being separated from people around us, and just having that separate mind state. You know what I mean? So that's the whole thing with lifting the veil up and going beyond the veil, to be able to even get more and bring back jewels and bring back ways for yourself to be able to wake yourself up even more and be more powerful within the physical. Now, the path to revelation in esoteric traditions, the veil is something that must be lifted or transcended through spiritual practices. Now, spiritual practices such as meditation, prayer, contemplation, or self purification will pierce the veil, and a person can gain access to higher knowledge, wisdom, and spiritual enlightenment. So how do we get past the veil? So how do we get past the physical? We do the spiritual practices such as meditation. We do these things such as prayer. We do these things such as contemplation. And that's where we really, we make sure that we're balanced. Now, some people will find themselves where they will go so deep into the spiritual aspect of it that they find themselves ungrounded. They can't even function in reality. They lose themselves. So the goal is to have that balance between those two realms, because you exist in both. Now, through the meditations, through when people talk about meditation, when people talk about prayer, when people talk about um lighting candles and journaling and these are all things that tap you into that spiritual realm. These are all things that tap you into what's past that veil. These are all things that need to be cultivated as well, and we'll talk about that more when we go even further into this. So the veil symbolizes the mental and emotional condition that clouds a person's perception, such as limiting beliefs, ego attachments, and external distractions of everyday life. Now let's talk about that. Let's talk about the everyday distractions of life, the everyday things that we have to do that keep us separate from our true nature. We're always busy. We always working. We always have to do these things. I don't have time to meditate. I got to do this. I got to pay this. I got to make these things happen. But the thing is that we're cutting ourselves off from a lot of power, where you could really control these things much better from having that spiritual aspect, but they don't talk about that. They don't talk about those aspects of it, because the whole thing is, the deeper you go and the more you start doing these spiritual practices, the more those everyday life things don't affect you, and then you can't be controlled, if that makes sense. If that makes sense. Now, so when we talk about the veil and you talk about the initiation in the esoteric teachings, the process of spiritual initiation often involves confronting and lifting the veil, confronting and lifting the veil, allowing the initiate to access hidden or sacred knowledge and experience a deeper connection with the divine or higher planes of consciousness. That's the whole thing about freeing yourself. When we say freeing yourself during the spiritual awakening, that's what we mean. Through the initiation, through these practices, you free yourself eventually, where you have access to a higher dimensions of thought, higher dimensions of reality, higher understanding of your purpose and your true being. And that's our goal here. That's our goal here. That's the purpose of getting any of this knowledge, looking at these books, reading these different things. The end goal is to get a better understanding of self and what's your purpose, what we even here for, what we got going on, how we free ourselves from the illusions, how do we free ourselves from what we call Maya. How do we free ourselves from what we call the matrix? So that makes sense there. So we're going to build from that part of, I just wanted to go over ultimately what the veil represents. Any questions about that? Anybody got any questions about what the veil represents? So just to go back to that, it refers to the spiritual barrier or illusions that separate the material world, the world of physical senses and ego, with the world of the spiritual world. That's the veil. That's the veil. That's the veil. All right, all right. So now we talk about the veil. Let's go into the next aspect of it. What a lot of people are talking about. Yeah, let's live. Let's vibrate even higher. Okay, we started off with the veil. There we go. We are lifting it. You know how it go, Jenny. You know how I like to raise the vibration. You know how I get down when I teach. How I make sure that we have a good time as well. So if I stop in between this, or I make jokes or throw my glasses on, because I might just black out. I might just black out, or when I do those blackout points, that's when I'm channeling that information that I feel that needed to be said at that moment and need to be heard at that moment. When I bring the glasses out, that's when I start cranking up. So we're gonna vibrate higher. So let's vibrate even higher. Let's vibrate even higher. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. Let's raise the frequency even more. So we talked about the veil. So we know what the veil is. We know what happens when you pull the veil away. We know what happens when you do these techniques and you do these spiritual practices and you get a deeper understanding of yourself. We understand what happens then. We get to live reality and truly live it, truly feel it, truly understand it, without just being always stressed out and worried about everyday life things. That's what we hoping for. All right. So the next thing, let's talk about, we're gonna talk about the matrix. Oh snap, we're gonna talk about the matrix. We're gonna talk about the matrix. Which pill you want to take? The red pill, the blue pill? We're going into the Morpheus mode. And by the way, Morpheus is from my city, Augusta, Georgia, and my wife is actually what you related to Morpheus? What you said? His first cousin, uncle, Lawrence Fishburne, right? So Morpheus tied in some kind of way with all this. And I also had yeah, Morpheus is from Augusta, Georgia. He's from Augusta, if you didn't know that. Lawrence Fishburne, and she and her first cousin, her daddy's sister child. You know how black folks, their daddy's sister child, uncle is Morpheus. Man, I was like, what? That's crazy. That's crazy. But yeah, Morpheus is from Augusta, Georgia. The movie The Matrix is one aspect of it. That's what people think about when they hear The Matrix. And I also had the honor of interviewing the original writer of the Matrix films, where she said they plagiarized her and made it into a movie, and she sued them. Sophia Stevenson. I don't want to say it wrong. And if you know, you can write it in here. If you know the name of her, you go ahead and write it in there for me. But I did have the chance to interview her, and we got to talk about the Matrix. We got to talk about what she meant by the Matrix. She meant that it's a female womb. She meant that it was in the Bible already. She said all these different things. She's definitely got to talking like she was the oracle herself. So that was beautiful. But the Matrix goes deeper than just that movie. The Matrix movie is a story that's been told many, many times. It's been told many, many times throughout history. It's been told in different ways and different understandings. But it's been, but that's a principle, or that's an understanding or philosophy that's been around for years. Sophia Stewart, there we go. She was the original writer of The Matrix. She told me she stood on business and she sued them. She stood on business and she sued them, and she got her money back for that, for those movies. But let's go into it though. Like I said, the Matrix is something that's been told a lot of times. If you've seen the movie or you haven't seen the movie, you still know what's up. But let's go. Let's take the red pill or the blue pill. Like Morpheus said in there, it's something that you feel every day. It's something that you feel when you go to school. It's something that you feel when you go to church. It's something that you feel when you're at home watching television. It's something that you feel, but it's something, in order to understand the Matrix, you have to experience it. You have to go deeper. You have to lift that veil and be able to see past the illusions of this reality. If that makes sense, let me see it. Let's say vibrate higher. Let's say vibrate higher if that makes sense. Let's say vibrate higher if that makes sense. If that makes sense, let's say vibrate higher. Appreciate you, Jenny. Appreciate you, Jenny. Appreciate you, Janelle. Appreciate you, Janelle. Appreciate y'all. Appreciate high. We gonna vibrate higher. Appreciate you, Sajai. We vibrate higher. We gonna keep vibrating higher. Now, with the Matrix, from a spiritual and psychological perspective, the concept of the Matrix, and this is a good definition of the Matrix. The concept of the Matrix represents the invisible web of societal programming and belief systems that shape our perspectives, our perceptions, behaviors, and identities from the moment that we are born. As soon as we come here on this planet, we lower our vibration because this planet is so dense. They say things like we born in sin. We come down here, we have to lower our vibration to even exist on this plane of existence in itself, to be limited to a physical body in itself. Now that's just a part that I'm adding in there, but that's how it is. It affects you as soon as you get here. That's part of the way that this operates, and you never really get past the matrix. You just create your own matrix, and that's what this all about. At the end of it, that's what the hook gonna be. You create your own matrix. That's what the hook gonna be. That's what the hook gonna be. But okay, so it serves as a metaphor for the mental and emotional constructs that keep individuals confined with certain limits in thinking and being, often without them even realizing it. Let's break down what the matrix is in the context and how it impacts our development. Let's talk about the matrix and how it affects our development. Let's vibrate higher. Let's vibrate higher. Okay, so when we say what is the matrix as it relates to societal programming refers to constructed reality made up of deeply ingrained beliefs, social norms, and expectations imposed by various systems such as family, education, religion, government, media, and culture. These are things that make us, these are the things that mold us into who we become, these are the things that give us our identity. This is our matrix. This is our program. Now, if the matrix is unhealthy, now, if the program is unhealthy, then what's going to happen from there? What's going to happen from there? We're going to end up being in a situation where we're not going to be fulfilled. We're not going to really find our purpose. We're going to be controlled more than controlling our reality, which was our divine God given right to be able to control our own matrix, even though we limit it. Now, so going back to that, the matrix is basically imposed on us through systems, various systems such as family, education, government, media, and culture. These systems subtly dictate what is acceptable or what we consider normal, influencing everything from the way we view ourselves to what we believe is possible in life. And sometimes we never take time to examine those things that we've been programmed or given by society, based on America, based on wherever you were born at, based on your family, based on your race, based on your town, based on your city, based on the things that make you up to who you are. These things can dictate your reality. And if they're not healthy, they won't lead to the best possible life. It won't lead to things, but you realize what's normal and what's acceptable based on this programming, especially through those first stages of life. Like we said, we start in the bigger point, then we're gonna break it down to the smaller point. This is what the matrix is. When people say the matrix, it's a mental construct. It's designed to keep individuals operating within a certain framework of reality that aligns with the goals of those in control. So when you say the matrix, most of the time you're saying it from a standpoint of a control aspect of it. But I like to look at it from an aspect of I can create my own matrix. But a lot of times it's like when you hear the matrix these days, because it's coming from the movie, of course it's going to mean things like something that's you're up against, that you're fighting, which is true, which is very true. I don't want anybody to get that part twisted. It's very true that it is forces that have created a certain matrix that keep you at that certain level, as a way of controlling, as a way of keeping everything so-called operating properly according to them. So societal, so exactly, let's create a new matrix. Let's create our own matrices. Let's dictate our own space instead of just taking on the things that was bombarded or given to us by those in power. And that could even be your parents. That can even be your parents, keeping that thing 1,000. That's usually our first teachers. That's usually our first people that create who we are. Is our parents. That's the first voices we hear. Even with our children, we create their reality now as we speak. So it's something very sensitive, and it's something very personal about that. And it's something very powerful about the fact that you have that ability as a parent. And that's where our first teachers was. Your first teacher probably was your mother or your father, honestly, or your grandmother, so yeah, but they're coming from on a higher level. They coming from something that constructed that for them to be the framework of their reality. So that's societal programming and condition. From the moment we are conditioned or adopt certain beliefs and values that shape our worldview, this conditioning begins with family, upbringing, and extends through schooling, media consumption, and peer influences. And then the next part of that matrix is the education system. The education system. So you got to put these things. We putting everything together to get to the bigger aspect, so you can see the veil, so you can see the things that have been there. Is everybody all right? Just hearing me out. Everybody all right? Just hearing me out. I want to pull some things up on the screen, but I hate to do it and then have technical difficulties and all these different things. But I'm going to pull some more things up. Vibrate higher. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Okay, so we got to go into the education system. So school often emphasizes conformity. We know that obedience and standardized testing. Whatever they type of testing they say we got to take, that's the type of testing that we learn. Whatever they say that's in this curriculum, those are the things that we learn. Especially when you're in America, you really, I mean, I don't know anywhere else, but I know it's probably worse other places that don't even have certain freedoms that we have. So I just can imagine what level they are on when they're in a city or in a country or somewhere where they're being dictated, or even a small village. But yeah, but school systems often emphasize that conformity. It's not really about self-discovery. It's not really about critical thinking. It's not really about true history. It's about indoctrination. And that's what I was talking about earlier when I say people don't like it when you self-taught. That's what we doing now. We teaching ourselves. Our self-taught information is personal. Self-taught knowledge, esoteric knowledge, self-taught is personal. Self-taught knowledge is a form of initiating yourself into a higher version of yourself when you get this type of information. So media, also media and technology, of course, man, we don't even really have to talk about that. We know how media affects us. We know how advertising work. We know how these different social media algorithms work. We know we living in a time where it's really, really about media. It's really about technology. But the beauty of the times that we're living in is that you get to choose what you want to watch. You have the ability to choose your algorithm. You have the ability to take classes like this instead of going to the club or something like that. You go to the club, do what you want to do. But I'm just saying, you have the options to be able to speak this way. We have the options to go into this sacred space like this. This is not secret knowledge, but this is sacred knowledge. I can't say all of this on the internet. So it is still limited. So we know how the media works. We know how the technology moves us. We know how a lot of people are hooked on the technology. We know technology is even advancing faster than really our understanding of ourselves. We're advancing in technology, but are we advancing within ourselves? And that's what people like us is coming through with. We really want to advance within ourselves. Yeah, it's cool to have AI. Yeah, it's cool to have these different phone aspects, but what type of technology is within yourself? You feel me? Hold up. But education system, so media and technology is one of the main ways that the matrix work. Cultural expectations, rigid standards, different things that we have to do, the different aspects that we say is beautiful or the truth, or this is what we consider creativity, this is what we consider the music, the best type of music, and these different things like that. Those are the roles that come with cultural expectations. It just all depends on where you're at. Is going to based on your cultural expectations. The certain cultures have different ways of looking at things based on their upbringing and based on how they move in that culture. But the main thing that it does, it creates a false sense of self. It creates a false sense of self. You've been given, you've been molded, you've been told who you are, you've been told what this is about. You never got a chance to go within yourself because it's all on the outside. It's all these things on the material world, on the outside, and the physical aspects of it. You see where I'm coming from? We bombarded with that constantly, day to day. Go to school, do these things, go do this. And nothing wrong with these things if you understand what's in front of you. That's the main thing. See, I don't talk down on these things because I know that you can thrive within this system if you know the system and you know a way to navigate through it. So you can still do these things, but you got to create it from a place of within yourself, and you're creating it to the outside. So if you want to go to school, this is school, this is education. This is education. This is knowledge. This is information. This is can be taught into a university, but they choose not to teach these type of things. But now we have the opportunity, which once again goes back into the age that we're in and the awakening that we're in, that we even have access at the drop of my finger to this type of information. So it creates a sense of a false self. And then when the whole thing and the whole reason we here is to make it through all of that and find true self, find true identity of self, find who we really are up in this planet and what we here for. That's the real thing. So you got to dig through those things in order to be able to find true self, because you've been given so much, you've been bombarded so much with what we call the matrix. So the matrix creates that conformity. It creates a fear of rejection. The matrix reinforces the ideas that we must fit in to be accepted. It's the fear of rejection by other people around us. It's the fear of that. Nobody wants to be outcasted, and we're going to talk about that. Nobody wants to be outside of their culture. It's not a good place to be, but if you stand up for yourself, you'll realize that it is a fulfilling place to be. A lot of this leads to limited beliefs. The societal matrix imposes beliefs like you must be this to be successful. You must work hard to succeed. You must do this to change your destiny. These different things like this, creating all these different type of mental blocks. Because the main thing that frees you is your consciousness and your mind and your thoughts, which we'll learn on the next part of this class. So just letting you know that's one aspect of it. Man, we moving. It's already 6:41. We moving. We are moving, and I'm glad we are moving. We going into it right now. We going into it. So we at 640. We at 640, 641. Okay, we still at part one. This still part one. So we talked about the veil, we talked about the matrix, we talked about what the matrix is, what it creates. We talked about the whole thing about what's the purpose of even knowing that. The reason to know that is to get past that false self, and that's the main thing that we're talking about when we say free yourself, mental sovereignty, like sovereign name in here, mental sovereignty. We're going for mental sovereignty, freedom of your thoughts. Because I'm going to ask you all this: what's the main thing that they attack? What's the main thing that they attack? What did all of these things that I just said basically is attacking? The education system, boom. Cultural expectations. What are these all trying to attack? When we see that, we can then see how we can break it, how we can create our own. And Sovereign got it. The main, and Jenny as well, freedom of expression. That freedom, the mind and authenticity. Keep going, y'all. The mind. There we go. The mind and authenticity. They want us to be the same. That's the main thing that the matrix is attacking, because it creates those limiting beliefs. It creates a programming. It creates a way to just stay at a certain level. The very core of who we are. There we go. That's what they attack in the very core of who we are. Let's go even deeper than just the mind. There you go. The very core of who you are. Soon as you get here, soon as you get here, as soon as we wake up and get here, but guess what? We coming out that slumber though. We coming out that slumber though. When we waking up, we coming out of that slumber. We know we put the glasses on and we can see through it. We put the glasses on and we can see through it. We coming out of that slumber that had us sleep, that had us thinking that this is what reality is. This is just the one way. Whatever our family said, whatever our church said, whatever our society said, whatever our friends said, whatever the TV said, whatever the music said, whatever everybody else said. Those are the things that we believe were our purpose. And then what it creates is that limiting and that depression that comes with that, because you feel like it's something missing. You feel like it's something there that has to be deeper than this, than just these things that I've been taught. And a lot of times, what we end up doing, we conform to it and we give up. We end up giving up. We say, forget it. What's the point? What's the purpose? Let me just fit in. Let me find my place. And then before you know it, at the end of your life, you're unfulfilled with it, because we never really stepped into who we were when which was in our soul contract. We never stepped into it. We never stepped into what was truly in within our soul contract, because in our soul contract told us that one day you will access this information, and one day you will wake up and you will see through all of this to become your true self. You will go through these things in an esoteric and a metaphysical way to create a way where you can be able to see who you truly are. Go through certain things. You go through the initiation process in these hard times sometimes, just to really figure out who you are in your true power. Excuse me, your true power and your true ability. That's what you find out. That's what you find out. All right, let's keep going. So the first step to any of this, to creating to perceiving this reality different, is to reprogram. Is to go past that constructed illusion. It's start to question things. It's starting to ask these questions: what's really going on? What it really start challenging those beliefs, like, why do I believe in that? Start going up against some of these traditional fallacies that don't make sense at this point. Start asking those in-depth questions. That's part of a spiritual awakening. That's freeing yourself after you wake up, because at first it hurts. And we're going to talk about that. And we're going to talk about that. The challenges are the catalyst. The challenges are the limitation and obstacles imposed by society. It's the catalyst for our growth. It gives us that feeling to push forward. But some people can't make it through that part, because it's so much now. It's so hard now to do that. They make it harder than it's ever been, in because we in a chaotic time. And they're trying to throw everything at you to stop you, but they can't stop you. You still here, November the 17th, 2024 at 6:45 p.m. on my time, Eastern time. I don't know where you at, But on my time, you still here right now getting this knowledge, even though it's 1,000 distractions of, even though you could be on social media, even though we could be doing anything else, but we here right now learning about the matrix. Hold up. So for the ultimate aspect of it, it's about freeing yourself. Freeing ourselves from the matrix involves reprogramming of our own minds, embracing our own inner truth, and stepping into our power as conscious co-creators of our reality. There it is. All right. So we talked about the veil. We talked about what the veil is. The veil basically is that point there that keeps us away from seeing past that material realm, to be able to tap into that higher aspects of reality, to go into that spiritual aspect instead of just being caught up in the physical day-to-day things. That's what we talked about at first. Now we talked about the matrix is the constructs, it's the mindset, it's the programming that we get when we come here. Now you have the ability to co-create and change your own matrix into what you want it to be. Those are the things that we learned so far. We learned about the veil, we learned about the matrix and how what it creates, the false self, and now we need to learn how to get into the true self. But before we go there, we still at the big aspect of it. We at 647, so we still at the big aspect of it on part one. We still got to talk about the big aspects. That's the veil. That's the universe. That's the matrix. We talking about the big part of it. You feel me? Now we let's. One thing that I had to go into what they call the concept of Maya. The concept of Maya. Has anyone ever heard of Maya? Maya. There you go, Sovereign. The illusion. The illusion, Maya. That's what a lot of ancient cultures called Earth. The great illusion. The great illusion. Maya. Maya is the concept of Earth and by extension, reality being an illusion or a deceptive appearance. So these traditions and the way that we see this deeply rooted in metaphysical traditions, philosophical teachings. A lot of Eastern teachings talk about Maya as the illusion. And like I like to kind of reference where I'm getting this from, where certain cultures that had this or certain cultures that needed. Please excuse my accent if I don't say these names of these old traditions correctly. You can look it up. I spell it for you. I spell it for you to make sure you can know. But these are just different references in books that use this, saying that reality was a illusion or Maya. One of them is the the Upanishads. Let me spell it. That's Upanishads. There's an ancient Indian text that discusses the illusionary nature of the material world, the Maya, and the journey towards self-realization through that illusion. The journey through self-realization through that illusion. They explore the idea that what we perceive as reality is a projection. It's a projection, and that true reality lies beyond the physical. They believe that it went beyond the physical, past that veil. We still on the same timeline, family, if you understand where I'm coming from. We still on the same timeline if you see where I'm coming from. You see how we still on the same timeline when we talking about finding ourselves through this illusion, that Maya, the Maya. In the foundational spiritual text, Lord Krishna explains to Arjuna that the world is an illusion and that one's true self is eternal. Hold on, let me plug my computer up. Wait a minute, wait a minute, wait a minute. We can't have that going on. Hold on, guys. Why the device, is it plugged on? Bear with me, y'all. Bear with me. Bear with me. Okay, there we go. We back. You can't stop it. You can't stop the rain. You can't stop it. You win when you're right within. You win. Let's power up. There you go, Jenny. Let's power up. Let's power up. You can't stop the rain. But let's keep going. Okay, so we talk about Maya, another book, a more newer book is a book called Maya, the World as Virtual Reality. You see a lot of these concepts when people start talking about the simulation theory and these different things like that. If you look into those things, you really start seeing those things come up more and more. But Maya, the world of virtual reality, the feeling that we living in an illusion, the Maya, living in a program, the Matrix, these different things like that. These are topics that's been talked about. So that book, it basically explores like Vedic philosophies that aligns with modern scientific ideas, suggesting that the material world is a type of virtual reality, which is a projection influenced by what? What y'all think? What influences this projection or this illusion? What do y'all think? What do you think influences this illusion or Maya? What do you think molds it? Programming, desire. There we go. That molds it. These things molded our consciousness, our thoughts, our mind. The programming is what molds it. The illusion. So wouldn't it be smart if somebody came up with a way to control your consciousness, right? If that's what's molding this Maya, if that's what's molding this virtual reality, if this is what's molding it, wouldn't it be smart for us to even look into our own consciousness, to listen to our own thoughts? You see what I mean? You see what I mean when I say that's why they use your thoughts. That's why they use your mind. That's why they use your consciousness, because it's what's controlling what they call the illusion. This is what makes it move. And these are things that are coming up in modern day. Like I said, we coming in a time where society is looking for more. They want more. They want an understanding of this reality instead of what we've been given just to think, oh, it's just physical. We can feel it now. You know what I mean? There's too many phenomenons. There's too much going on to sit here and say, oh, it's only just this what we see when it's. And if you really tapped in, you know these things, you feel these things, you know these things. If you in this class, you probably already done thought these things, but without even knowing the names of them. So you can look into the autobiography of Yogi. You can look into that. That also is another one where they talk about the nature of existence. Um, he goes into just basically it being like the yoga teachers, Yoganda's teachers introduced the concept of Maya as a cosmic illusion that veils the true nature of the universe. And then the book just goes into more and more of help how you can see beyond the illusion. That's Yoganda's book, autobiography of Yogi. The Secret Doctrine is another one, by Helena P. Blavatsky. Blavatsky esoteric work addresses the nature of existence, suggesting that the physical world is a mere shadow of reality, of the true reality. That's what the physical aspect of it. It's just a mere shadow of the true reality. And it's another book called Reality is Not What It Seems. Reality is Not What It Seems. Okay. Oh yeah. Now this is the next part here. Like I say, we still at the big aspect of it. We talked there about Maya, and we talked about what Maya is about. Maya is the concept that Earth is an illusion. That's the word that they use for Earth being an illusion. Earth being an extension of our consciousness that makes it seem real, that makes it seem physical. And the more we start getting into quantum physics and quantum mechanics and things like this with the modern day science, the more they start thinking, wait a minute, were these ancient people on to something? Of course they was. Of course they was, but it's about the ebb and flow of society. Sometimes you're at a higher conscious state. Sometimes this matrix is doing a number on us, and we only focus on the material aspect of reality and not tapped into the spiritual aspect of reality. But now we're going up slowly but surely. We're going back up. But another one was another concept, and this is a book that I have or had, is the holographic universe theory by Michael Talbot. Now, let's talk about that real quick. Let's talk about the holographic universe. Like I said, we started big. We started with the veil. We started with the matrix. Then we went into Maya. Correct? Correct. Y'all still with me? Y'all ready to go into the holographic universe? That just sound crazy. Just to even say that big. The holographic universe. What? The holographic universe. That's the next level. All right. So Michael Talbot, and I spell Talbot, Talbot, Michael Talbot. So he explored the theory called holographic universe. And this theory is that the universe operates much like a hologram. Now, this was published in 1991. So this is things that was talked about in 1991. It's just more so coming to the forefront with like quantum physics and things like that. But the central idea of it is that the universe behaves like a hologram, where every part contains information of the whole. Everything, like we said, when you go beyond the veil, you see that there's no separation. Everything is connected, everything is one, and everything is being influenced by our consciousness. Everything is being influenced by our consciousness. So the way that he said it was is basically like, um every part of the information is of the whole. Everything carries the information of the whole. This means that just a small piece of holographic film can reconstruct the entire image. Every part of the universe contains the blueprint of the cosmos. Of course, we know we're made up of the cosmos. We're made of stardust. We use oxygen. We need water. We need the trees. We connected. We need each other. We need these different aspects of Earth. We need these natural resources. We animals need these certain things. We sharing these spaces with everything, but everything as a whole is together. But they've been taught to have that when the veil is up. We've been taught that it's separate. We've been taught that we're separate from everything that's around us. We separate. Mental solitary. That's interesting. That's interesting. We think we're alone in this society. We've been taught to do the individuality thing, to be an individual, which is true because you want to be your true self. But at the same time, your true self should be helping others, and it should all connect together as like a big puzzle, like a big hologram, like they say here. But Talbot draws on the works of physicists David Bohm and Carl Preham, who proposed that the physical universe and consciousness itself might be interconnected through a holographic framework. Bohm was a quantum physicist, suggested that reality has two levels. Reality has two levels: the impeccable, which is an order of it. So it has the physical one, which is the physical reality, like we were talking about before, and then we have the non-material world, where everything is connected. But we've been taught to just pay attention to the physical. So Talbot suggested that what we perceive as physical reality is a projection, much like a holographic illusion. This means that the material world, including space and time, might be more of a mental construct or illusion than an objective reality. And this goes back to what we talked about, the ancient teachings that describe the physical world as an illusion, as Maya. You see how this is all building up? The veil, The veil is what separates it. The matrix is what keeps you behind the veil with the programming and different things of this nature. And then you go into Maya when you have an understanding that, wait a minute, is this all an illusion? Is the universe a hologram? The holographic universe theory goes back basically to the fact that reality is an illusion. And in this book, he talked about more aspects of it, talking about the way that we even see the world, the way that the world is really upside down and our eyes turn it right side up, and these things is just an illusion. Like, we know that this is not really physical. We know that we're not really touching this atoms and things in between me right now. When you feel like you're touching something, we know that these things aren't physical. We know that they're molecules moving at a fast rate to make them at that vibration where they seem as they are solid. So there's a lot of things that's going on behind the veil that we can't see, which makes Maya, or the reality known as Maya, a great movie to watch or a documentary to watch is What the Bleep Do We Know? They go into this even more on the aspects of reality being an illusion. What the bleep do we know? I'm gonna drop things all throughout this so you can leave here and be able to jump on so much other stuff. My way is just to show you the way of where this information is. That's my job here, is to show you the way of the information and then deliver it. And once again, everything that I'm talking about, I'm gonna also deliver it to you when we get into the book that we're gonna be focused on mostly here. But let's just, if you like, take a breather for a moment here because we going in. The universe, the holographic universe, that's where we at with it. The holographic universe, I'm still right there with it. I'm just gonna stretch a bit, kind of loosen up. Everybody doing good still? Let me take a little drink. We at 7 o'clock here. We doing good. We doing good time. We doing good time. We still in section one, really. We still in section one, really. We're gonna end it at 9 o'clock. We're gonna end it at 9 o'clock. We shooting for 9 o'clock. So this section one. Just quick recap. Just a quick recap. Appreciate it, y'all. I appreciate y'all. I'm glad y'all here. If you have any questions, or if I'm moving too fast, or if you want me to go back to something, you can always let me know in the chat here. The chat is open for that. So we talked about, so just a recap, we talked about the veil. I always go back because I want to show you how this class ends up circling back to us or self. So we went into the veil, we went into the matrix, we went into the Maya, and now we at the holographic universe. All right. All right. So Talbot suggested that what we perceive as physical reality is just a projection. Much like a holographic image, this means that the material world, including space and time, are a mental construct. The holographic model implies it implies that we're deeply connected and interconnected to this reality through our thoughts, beliefs, and perceptions that influence the way we experience the world. What we talked about, the matrix, we talked about the matrix before that. That's what influences this world. That's what's influencing this holographic model that we call Earth. That's what we doing. That's what we doing. but but now, so the mind is also seen as a holographic structure, according to him, where memories and experiences are stored not in a specific location but throughout the entire brain. This idea, supported by Pribram's work, challenges the traditional view of memory being localized to specific regions of the brain. Talbot explores how the holographic theory can provide explanations for paranormal. Oh, now we getting metaphysical, y'all. Y'all still with me? Y'all ain't getting scared when I say this could maybe explain paranormal activities. This could start explaining telepathy. This can start explaining psychokinesis. This can start explaining near-death experiences and synchronicities, seeing the world as a hologram, seeing this as an illusion. Let me talk about this part real quick. Let me just break this down to my personal reality. How many times throughout the day Like, this is something that I really noticed. Like, how many times throughout the day you could think something, then it pops up in your world? How many times throughout the day the TV talking directly to you? You could say one thing, and then it's me and my lady. We do it all day long. We just say something, and then we'll be like, "Look at the TV talking about just what we talked about." It could be the most randomest thing. I could say something about Australia, and the next thing I know, somebody comes up and starts talking about Australia, or Australian flag pops up on the TV, or Australia playing on the Olympics or something like that. These are all the things that's explaining, like, why is this happening this way? That's where they get into that holographic aspect of the universe when it's just an illusion. If it wasn't a program, if it wasn't a system, it wouldn't be synchronicities. We wouldn't just keep seeing numbers over and over again. We wouldn't just keep seeing things that we thought about, then they show up, especially with your phone. Now, that's a whole nother level where they talk about they got technology that can read your thoughts and bringing these ads up and certain things like that. Now, that's a whole nother level. But let's just keep it on the level of what we're talking about here, of people being able to think something, then it shows up on your phone. A lot of times people hear my message, they say this was divine time and this was going on right then. No, we just on the same wavelength. We just on the same wavelength. We was thinking the same thoughts, and then we lined up at the same point in time and space, and then this what created it. How many times throughout the day you just riding in your car and you just think something, or you think about a person, and then they call you, or you see a message from them, or you see them on Facebook. These are all things that indicate that we're living in a reality that we truly don't understand to the fullest, and it has to be an aspect of our consciousness playing a role in creating these very things. Otherwise, the reality would be just straight up random, like it should be, if it wasn't a program, if it was an illusion. It should never be any signs. It should never be any synchronicity. It should just be randomness, like all day long. But it's not like that. It's like I think something, I say something, and it shows up. And it doesn't always have to be television, so it's not necessarily just a technology that they're using or listening to us. This is things that I'm thinking or that you think that show up. How many people does that happen to? I guarantee everybody in the chat can say that happened to me. And if it's happening to everybody, that's another indication of the very presence of where are we at, what we living at. That's right, Jenny. Like Jenny said, we are so connected in the telepathic, but the veil blocks the full potential. There we go. It goes back to that veil. It goes back to those blocks on our limited perspective of reality that makes us think, man, I don't have no power to move this construct. They didn't teach us this and things like that. But when you start having that spiritual awakening, you start freeing yourself from those very things. So Talbot just kept going in on this book. He just kept going in about the world being reality being an illusion. Talbot explored how the holographic theory can provide explanations of these paranormal activities. If the universe is indeed a hologram, then seemingly supernatural occurrences might just be the results of tapping into the interconnected fabric of reality, going past the veil, going beyond the veil, having these things like they started talking about out of body experiences. They started talking about spontaneous healing. They started talking about these things like certain things that influence our minds, and the power of our minds influencing our health and our well-being, with techniques like visualization, like we talked about earlier. Getting past the veil or getting beyond the veil is tapping into these different aspects of ourselves and these techniques, and going deeper into the spiritual aspect through visualization, through meditation, through journaling, through grounding yourself, through breath work, and all these things. You tap more into that spiritual aspect of reality. Hold up, I hope that made sense what I just said right then. You're able to control this by using these spiritual practices. You're able to go past the veil by creating your own matrix and being able to create your own programming, knowing that reality is a possible illusion that's constructed and changed by your thoughts and your consciousness. So one of the main things that we should do is guard our thoughts. Correct? Correct. Man, I love it when it come together like that. I love it when it come together like that. I love it when it come together like that. Now, according to Talbot, the implications of this theory extend to the understanding of the cosmos itself. Just as the human mind operates as a holograph, hologram. The entire universe may be a grand interconnected hologram where everything is connected beyond space and time. These challenges the traditional mechanics view of the universe as a collection of separate parts. So these are theories. Once again, these are theories. But can't you feel it though? Can't you feel these things? Why does it keep coming up? Why do the ancient teachers, why do they come back to quantum physics? Why is it like that? Because we own to something here. We own to something. We are on to something. And we can get past these limitations when we lift that veil. Now, the interconnectedness, everything is the universe is fundamentally interconnected. Talbot suggests that the separateness we perceive is an illusion created by our limited senses. Created by our limited senses. The way that we look at reality is based on those thoughts that we think, based on those perspectives that we have, based on the things that our culture told us, based on the things that the matrix told us as the programming is what limits us to keep this thing operating on that level. But we can vibrate higher than that level. We can vibrate higher than that level. So our understanding of reality is shaped by these limited perceptions or beliefs. The mind has the potential to influence reality directly. Understanding the holographic nature of the universe empowers individuals to tap into their latent psychic abilities and be able to influence their circumstances. Be able to influence their circumstances. That's the whole point. We never been taught that we had the influence or the ability to influence our circumstances through our consciousness. We never are told that. We never are told that until we get older, until we wake up, until we follow that script, and then something becomes a catalyst to wake us up to our true nature and our true being. Hope that made sense. I hope that made sense, everybody. So that goes back to the to the old philosophy, mind over matter. You know, mind over matter. That's what we talked about, mind over matter. They've been talking about that for centuries. The mind has the potential to influence reality directly. Understanding the holographic nature of the universe empowers individuals to take control of it. So they basically are merging ancient wisdom with modern science, the quantum physics, the quantum mechanics, but they are using mystical teachings, metaphysical teachings, esoteric teachings, things that were known as so-called the occult or hidden. That's what they're talking about when they start talking about quantum physics and these things. They are blending it together. They're blending it together. Now the key takeaway is, you know, the matrix represents an external illusion designed to limit that perception, to keep you within that. You know what I mean? To keep you within that. But the holographic universe theory is one way to look at it. Boom. We threw the first part of the lecture of the class, Beyond the Veil. Through first part. How y'all feeling? Do it feel like it's been an hour and 15 minutes? Do it feel like it's been an hour and 15 minutes? Y'all ready to keep going? Y'all ready to keep going? Y'all ready to keep going? Let's vibrate. Vibrate so high that we go to the next level. Vibrate so high that we talk about initiating into the spiritual reality. Vibrate so high that we talk about the different stages of the spiritual awakening. Vibrate so high that we get a deeper understanding and have a self-remembrance of ourselves. Vibrate so high that we heal each other in this very class. Let's vibrate even higher. All right. So we went into the bigger aspect. So let's go down to a little bit smaller aspect of it. Let's talk about a little bit of what y'all want to talk about. Y'all want to talk about some mental alchemy? Y'all want to talk about mental alchemy? Let's ascend. Vibrate so high, Jenny. Let's ascend. Let's go. Y'all want to talk about mental alchemy though? Y'all want to talk about mental alchemy? That's where we going next. We're going into the mental alchemy because we're talking about freeing ourselves. We're talking about freeing ourselves. Okay, yeah, for sure. Oh yeah, and at 8 o'clock we gonna let Sajai break out in song for y'all. We like to make this like a service, you know what I'm saying? So this is gonna be like a service type of deal. Like we at church, we at Sundays. This is a real Sunday service. So Sajai gonna hit y'all with a note. In the middle of it, we'll take a little break. We're gonna go into that into that aspect of it, and that'll be something to just kind of loosen you up again, you know. This is what learning about, man. We got to make it fun. We got to make it understanding. We talking about some deep topics, but we talking about these topics in a way where it's very easy to understand that you can use in your day to day. That's my whole thing, to take this high knowledge and make it so simple that anybody can look at it if they take the time and be able to get something out of it. But yeah, we're gonna break out in song though. We're gonna break out in song. Her voice been a little off last couple of days, so I don't know. But she says she ready. You already know. And then we also gonna let Sovereign jump in at a different part of the class. Sovereign also is I've been mentoring Sovereign. Sovereign going in here, he the young one next up. So we may have some insights on the veil or the matrix or these different things and these different topics. I listen to him, he teach me. So you know what I mean? So I'm gonna allow him to have the floor as well. But now we're gonna go into section two. We're gonna go into section two, and then we're gonna go into the break at probably about 8. But section two. All right, all right. My goodness, my goodness. So let me find my little work here that I had. Let me find my work. This little section here. And I just want to ask a question. Do you all prefer like to be able to see this information? Because I want to start doing slides and things like that, but that does take a lot of time, it does take a lot of time. But I want to, because I know it's different types of learning and different type of style. Are y'all okay with just this lecture format and me more so giving you the books and the information for you to look at yourself? Y'all let me know, because I like all feedback. I want to make these even better for you all. You know what I mean? You let me know if you like it this way. Do y'all like this? You visual? Okay. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna get to. Yeah. Okay. I know different people are different ways with it. So hopefully the book or the workbook will be able to help you out with the visual. References are great. Okay, good, 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 good. I love it all. Jenny says she love it all. Thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you for the feedback. I just want to make sure I make it, where people can get it. And some of the references, of course, that'll be with once you get the class over. Some of the everything that I'm talking about, I'm gonna send those to you as well, so you guys will be able to look at it as well. So instead of us just going just on a tangent with just me, but I try to make sure I give y'all different books and things like that, though, for sure. But I thank y'all for that feedback. But okay, so now let's go into. So the next thing we're gonna go into. The next thing that we're gonna go into. So we got to talk about mental alchemy. Because we talked about everything on a higher level. Now let's go a little bit. Let's go a little bit on. Let's go into the mental alchemy of yourself here. Let's go into that aspect of it here. Where I got it at. Okay, let me see if I can find it here. Oh yeah, that's where I was gonna get it from. This is directly from my book. This is from my book, by the way. You win when you're right within. You win when you're right within. 11 keys to spiritual alignment, and you'll also get this. You'll also get this as an ebook in there. So we're going to send you that as well. But this is where I wanted to get the mental alchemy, because I got a chapter in here where I really break that down well, where I can explain it to you all from from my research here as well. But in the book it breaks down different keys. You win when you're right within. This has 11 keys, and key number 6 is the illusions, navigating through the matrix. Navigating through the matrix, because it's so many different things that we're faced with trying to make it through what we call the matrix. Let me see if I can find the mental alchemy. My bad, y'all. I should have had that ready. but I wanted to go into because when I go back to the keys 6, that's in another part that I wanted to talk about though. Here, hold on, guys. Thank y'all for being with me. Okay, key number 2 is mental alchemy. Key number 2 is mental alchemy. So, what is mental alchemy? What is the point of mental alchemy when you hear people saying these different things called mental alchemy? What does that even mean? Okay, mental alchemy is so powerful because it's the transformation of your own inner world, combining with an awareness of how thoughts intricately shape the path of our souls. So mental alchemy is like the ultimate, this is what I wrote in here. It's like the ultimate mind makeover. It's like it's steps to changing yourself and alchemizing yourself into your true power, into your true self. That's what mental alchemy is all about. Picture this: you're the superhero of your own story, and mental alchemy is the cape you rock to uplift your spirits. No matter what chaos is going down in the outside world, you now have the ability, or you know how to flip an obstacle to where it benefits you the most. That's mental alchemy. Taking these circumstances, taking these programs, and flipping it into something that actually can be a catalyst to help you become a better person, become a better form of yourself. That's what it is. And I say in here, mental alchemy is like your secret weapon. You can take any obstacle life throws at you, and instead of letting it mess up your flow, you can turn it into something that makes you stronger. That it's all a mental game. Now, not everyone is a mental alchemist wizard. Some folks get stuck in a negative loop and turning a tiny setback into a full blown chaos or drama. You can see somebody go through something small and they don't have that ability to change their mind to be able to change it into something that will benefit them. They more so will take over. And that's the whole point of being able to have this strength to be able to alchemize your situations. um something positive could be happening in a person's life, but they still may find a way to turn it into negative. But guess what? That's still mental alchemy. You still have mental alchemy at play. We're going to talk about the different stages because that's the whole point of me even bringing up mental alchemy, because mental alchemy is it happens in stages. It's about diving into your mental realm, and you start connecting the making connections between your mind and your soul. It's like it's about having a heart to heart with yourself. And in alchemy, they call something what they call, and you can reference this as well. They call it the grand work, which refers to what they also call the magnum opus. And it's symbolic. It's a spiritual journey that involves the transformation of alchemist's inner self, of your inner self. It's the transformation process, your grand work, your magnum opus, your whole purpose of being here, a point where you transcend the ego and you get a spiritual wholeness or an enlightenment of really being a hero in your own journey. That's the grand work. That's the inner transformation of realizing your innate abilities to shape your world through deeper inner exploration. When they say alchemy, they always said turning lead to gold, but it's really about a deep dive into turning yourself in from what they wanted you to be, this form of self, into your highest form of yourself, into your true being. That's what the grand work is all about. Now, this happens in stages. Let me pull up this part right here. Well, I'm going to go into just the different stages of mental alchemy. Now, this is the way to break down the stages that you go through when you going through a spiritual awakening, because there's certain things that's going to happen when you're going through that spiritual awakening in different ways that you will different stages. So it's just like a scientific project, alchemizing. So it's different. This is the part that I'm going to break down, where we go into the different stages of spiritual alchemy, and then we're going to go into the book by Rudolf Steiner, obtaining knowledge of the higher worlds. So these are the different stages. This is 7 different stages, and it also talks about the symbolism. That's one. When I look up left ear ringing at high pitch, it says spiritual awakening. Sometimes they say that that's an aspect of it. They say that that could be a message coming through. That could be you, going beyond the veil, picking up on sounds that you may not was supposed to be picking up on before because you're tapping into a deeper aspect of yourself. But okay, so we go into spiritual alchemy. So the first part of spiritual alchemy, and each one of these are going to be different aspects of becoming more of yourself. The first stage is known as calcination. Calcination. The symbolism of this is fire. This represents that fire. This is the first part of mental alchemy, or you can use alchemy and spiritual awakening in the same, in the same sense, really. But it represents that fire breaking down the ego in the attachment, similar to how physical calcination burns away impurities. So you burning away the old aspects of yourself. This is the calcination. This is the first step, getting rid of the ego and in the attachments. The whole point of us learning this is because we coming from the fact that now we know that this world's a hologram, right? Now that we know that this world could be an illusion, now that we know about the matrix, so what do we have to do? We got to walk through what? That fire. You got to walk through that fire initially. This is usually about the hardest part. This is usually about the hardest part because a lot of people stop at this point here. But the calcination is just like you have to, similar to how physical calcination burns away all the impurities. You burn something, you take away the germs and different things like that. That's what this is about, walking through the fire. Like Shaka Khan said, through the fire. Through the limit, through the wall. I swear I can just break it down little tunes for y'all, just kind of give you some little signs and symbols with that. But yeah, through the fire, through the fire. So as you walk through the fire, it's the breaking down of the ego and its attachment, similar to how physical calcination burns away impurities. So the experience with this aspect of it, how it breaks down into your to your regular life at this particular stage. Picture this stage of mental alchemy as hearing metal stripped away impurities. To embark on mental alchemy, we must first become self aware, not just acknowledging, but truly comprehending our negative thought patterns, emotions, and behaviors. That fire can be one of the hardest stages, but this stage must happen to begin the transforming from the old you to the new you, to breaking through that matrix from the old you to the new you, if that makes sense. If that makes sense. The next stage of this is dissolution. The next stage of this is dissolution, which is symbolic with water. It's the dissolving of the remnants of the ego into the unconscious, promoting self-reflection and emotional release. It's about releasing these things. It's about letting go of these things that have tried to hold us back for so many years, these attachments of that old matrix, and releasing them and letting them go. And this comes through that self-reflection. This comes through that deeper understanding. This comes through that calcination of yourself, stripping away your ego and your old beliefs. And then we go into next, which is separation. This is the part of the journey where it's separation. And this is represented or symbolic through air. This is symbolic through air. This is basically the essential between the essential aspect of oneself and the real true self, identifying and integrating the true self. So you went through the shadow, you went through the fire, you released it. Now you're at a point of integrating all these things that you've learned together. You're integrating this into yourself so you can let go of the false persona, let go of the harmful patterns, let go of the things that may have tried to keep you back, that was within that matrix, or those type of programmings that you have been given. You are letting go of those things in these times. And at this time, this is a time where you may feel lonely, where you will be maybe alone and people not around because you have separated yourself from what you once thought was normal. A lot of people say this is their hermit mode. This is their hermit mode, where they find themselves alone a lot of the times and by themselves. the hermit mode. The next stage of it is the conjunction. This is represented by Earth. So this is the unifying, the uniting of the purified aspects of self, both the conscious and the unconscious, achieving that inner harmony and that balance between that physical and that non-physical, that balance between yourself and your old reality, that balance between your divine nature and your physical nature of yourself. It's that balance between that non-physical reality and that physical reality. That's where you're going into, where you're unifying all of that. You're achieving that clarity, having that sense of understanding. Are we y'all still with me with these different steps? I know I'm using big different words, but I'm just trying to give you these different steps of what they say mental alchemy is from. And this is actually coming from the Rosicrucians teachings. These are Rosicrucians teachings here, where we're talking about mental alchemy in these different stages and what they symbolize. So the next one is fermentation. So this is represented by, well, they say yeast, or like the growth, or like nature. So this is where you have the rebirth. This is where you have the rebirth, where you find yourself through a true transformation, just a new self. And I feel like I've walked through these different ones. That's why I'm relaying this information before you. I wasn't always at a point where I could even teach these things. I wasn't always at a point where I understood this knowledge. I wasn't always at a point where I believed that I had control over my reality. And it's still an ongoing process, because it's a never ending journey as long as you here. But you begin to start seeing things for what they are. You begin to start seeing things can be molded by your thoughts and your thinking. That's what you begin to see and have an understanding of. And that's the beauty of this. And that's the beauty, and that's the power that you have by learning these type of things. But the spiritual rebirth is the stage that comes after you've done that, getting rid of old beliefs. This comes after you dissolve the remainings of and release those emotional releases and these things that tied you down. And then you go into the point where you're integrating these aspects of yourself. You get in that balance, you gain in that clarity. Then you go into a spiritual rebirth, where you get a deeper level of enlightenment and spiritual insights, akin to what they would call spiritual resurrection. Spiritual resurrection. Spiritual resurrection. Then we got distillation. So distillation is the vaporization, is represented by vapor or condensation, refining the newfound spiritual consciousness, distilling wisdom from these experiences. This new birth becomes wisdom. It becomes a new way of seeing yourself. You start experiencing the world. You start really feeling the world. You start really having understanding how your consciousness playing a role, and you start seeing a more clear, elevated state of awareness, free from the impurities and the delusions. And you're free from those illusions, because you're the one that's creating the reality, because you went through these steps through the spiritual alchemy. You went through these hard times. You went through these points where people was going to outcast you. You went through the times where you didn't understand. You went through the times where you got scrutinized. You went through the times where people would go up against you. You went through the times where you had to go through your own trauma in these hard times. You went through the times where you were depressed. You went through the times when you was alone. You went through the times where you was in those hermit modes. You went through those times to be able to alchemize yourself and change into a new form of yourself, where you no longer see this world and distracted by the illusions. That's why you went through these different things. That's why you went through these different things. That's why you went through those times. That's why you're going through that right now, because you're becoming a new you. That's why you sitting in here for 3 hours and it doesn't feel like it. It just feels like time flowing, because this knowledge is speaking to your soul. It's speaking into a deeper understanding. It's speaking past me. It's coming through me, but it's speaking past me to you. I'm just a channel that's delivering this information to you, but you the one with the true power. You the one with the real ability. You the one that's going to walk through these different steps. I'm just telling you what's happening when you're going through these steps, so it'll make it easier. It'll make it easier. it'll make it easier. This is making it easier. You know that this is an illusion now. You know that this is a veil. You know that this is a matrix. You know that this is known as Maya and it's been going on for centuries. You know that we're living in a time where it's a spiritual awakening. You know that the distractions are at an all-time high because they want to keep you at that material world so you don't really recognize what's within you in the spiritual aspect of this reality. And when we lose that aspect of it, we almost are taking out the biggest percentage of reality because these things that come from the darkness show up in the physical. An idea is in the darkness, our thoughts is in the darkness, our consciousness is in the darkness, and it shows up eventually into the physical form. So that's the beginning. But we always talk to look on the outside. That's why the inside is so far away from a lot of people. That's why they can't hear their soul. Now, let's keep going. The final stage is the solidification, the solidification. The final stage is where everything comes together, where you realize your true self, your purpose, and you embody the spiritual wisdom day to day. You embody. Doesn't mean that it's going to be easy, but you embody that nature of a perspective of reality. Can't nobody tell you who you are. Can't nobody tell you what to believe. You believe what you want to believe. You start doing things at your own nature. You start having that connection with the higher power in your higher self. You closer to that aspect of yourself when you go through these different steps and you go through this process. These stages represent the journey of personal and spiritual transformation, also known as spiritual alchemy or mental alchemy. And a each stage requires a willingness to face it, and it comes with its own set of challenges and its own set of initiations and hardships that can come with that. That makes sense. That makes sense. Why I brought that up? Why I brought up the spiritual awakening and how the mental alchemy and these different aspects of it, and the different steps that you may have to go through to be able to see it, and to be able to navigate through it. Yeah. That's where I wanted to go with that. So the next part, so we got so 7:36. Okay, we making good time. We making good time with this. We just talked about mental alchemy. Let me check my notes real quick here. Let's see where we going next. Oh yeah, we going to the stages of the initiation. Okay, okay. I've always looked at the hermit stages, going through the stages of grief, like going through your own personal death. There you go. There you go. I love that. And we can build on that. Like, this is your own personal death. A lot of times you die many times. You awaken many times throughout this. You go through many journeys of these steps. This is not just something boom, 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 and then you there. No, you might get to a certain level. You might be at a certain age, or you might have certain experiences where that fits at that point in your reality, where that makes sense for the type of level that you're at, but it's still more to go. You still might start all over and go right back to the fire. You might have to go right back to the fire because you didn't got you might got caught up at a certain level where you're going through the fire. I feel like I'm going through a fire right now, not a bad fire where it's like at the beginning point, but I'm seeing myself as becoming a teacher, as becoming a person that's speaking on these topics as a public figure. I'm going through a different type of fire. Even Shaka Khan, just to talk about Shaka Khan, she even wrote on my Vibrate So High video, "Keep Turning Up." So that's why I say, through the fire, through the limit, through the wall. And I'm gonna tell y'all a story real quick. Before I like to tell stories too. I'm gonna tell a real quick story. When I first began this, I remember, that Shaka Khan, because it came full circle for me. I used to have these, and I like to go into deep meditations. And sometimes when I go into meditations, I may extend my consciousness to a point where I feel as if I'm picking up what we say, entities or guidance from the higher realms. We're talking about these veils. We're talking about getting past these veils. So what I do is I go into maybe a dark room, just a dark room, I turn on certain tones. These could be frequencies I don't want anybody else voicing, and like a guy, not a guided meditation. I would prefer to do this myself, and then I would practice those very breathing techniques. That breathing in slowly and releasing. That breathing in slowly and releasing. Making sure that my area is cleansed as well. Making sure I set the intentions before I do that. These are things that you can do as well, and you can get downloads and information. But I'm telling this story because, and I'm telling you the steps so you can be able to do this for yourself, because that's how you tap in and go beyond the veil. When you sit with yourself and you sit with these, you use your breath to go into altered states of consciousness. Your breath plays a role in changing your consciousness state, where you're not at that busybody alpha state, where you can go into these lower, these, should I say, higher states, but your brainwave patterns are slower. You know what I mean? So you breathe in and you sit in there and you bring yourself into these relaxed states. Well, anyway, I brought myself into these relaxed states, and I call myself, go reaching out to ancestors, ancestral. That's what was my hopes. And when I went there, I noticed that I was trying to speak with what I would say my grandmother. Now, when I was trying to speak with my grandmother, and I feel like I got this download from her where she said, Rick, you're asking me questions that I don't have an understanding of. And the download that I got was basically like, hey, these things that you're talking about are past the level that I'm on. She told me this, and this where I got this first thought from, was that when you pass on, that it's still afterlife, it's still a learning process. And the things that you're asking me about, I haven't went through that. My soul, see, you can be older soul wise. You could be an old soul. You could be an older soul than your grandparents. You could be an older soul than your parents. Now we talking metaphysical. Now, just let me talk. Just let me build on this. Let me talk. Let me build on it. We'll go back to the books and everything. But let me build on this. This is what this is really about. This is really about the initiation, and this is how you really start living your life when you go beyond the veil. And that's what we're gonna talk about in the next book. But so I was in my mind, and she said something to me that sparked my mind. She said, I don't know the answer to these things. I don't understand these questions you asking me. You're going to have to go higher than me. And when she said that, I said, what does that mean, go higher than her? She said, a being that's higher than me. There's somebody, an older soul that can answer these questions that you're asking me about, because when you die, you still within a school. You still have to learn. And so I said, okay, let me do that. So I call myself going higher, or reaching for something higher, or calling upon something higher. And I feel like the entity that showed up was like a father figure, almost like a Batala type figure, if you would say, in my imagination or in my mind. And the thing that it said to me, it said, Rick, why are you coming to me and you haven't even walked through the fire? Phew. I'll never forget that. I've had many meditations, and this one was so significant because at that point I hadn't been doing the work. I knew a lot of information, I knew a lot of knowledge. I was reading, I was getting the information, but I had never walked through the fire. I had never walked through the fire. And now as I get older and I get more knowledge, and I see that there's steps to this. See, people try to miss these steps, and they try to go straight into it and try to be, spiritual bypassing. But you got to walk through that fire to even be able to get to that level where you can even speak to a being of that vibration, or go to that high level, or get these high answers that you're getting. Obviously, y'all done already did the work, because otherwise you wouldn't even be able to hear this. This wouldn't even make no sense. You would have been clicked off. Your body would have told you got to go. That's why people, when you start talking this kind of knowledge, they got to leave, because they can't handle that, because they vibration at that point. I think it was 528 hertz, if I'm not mistaken. 528 hertz, Janelle. If I'm not mistaken. But I you know you go with what resonates with you. That's the beauty of all of this. You go with what resonates with you, what feels best with you. Some people can listen to song and go into these meditations and things like that. So That's my story of walking through the fire. And then later on, oh, that's the other part of it. So later on, when I started, because this happened years ago, this was like 10 years ago or something. This was years and years ago that I said that, and I had that walk through the fire. And I was like, what does that mean to walk through the fire? I'm just thinking like the initiation on on TV where people walk over the fire, physically do it. I didn't really realize that it was steps to this to integrate into becoming the true form of myself. And it takes devotion and work. I didn't realize how deep it was that you had to walk through your traumas and your darkness in order to be able to achieve that certain level. So what ended up happening later that made it more confirmed it for me, or was the confirmation, was I made the vibrate so high video, and it went viral and it got like 1 million views. But Shaka Khan commented on it, and she said, yeah, keep going. Now, she might not have known how deep that was or what she did when she wrote that, but I knew then, when I seen that, I knew what level I had made it to. I knew I had walked through the fire, and she was the symbolism of my journey and of the level that I'm going to now, if that makes sense. Hey, y'all enjoyed that story? So Shaka Khan was involved in my meditation. Basically, I got it in the meditation, and Shaka Khan came in the physical form and confirmed it. And it had to be something major so I can see the confirmation. Once again, it goes back to the illusion of this reality, of the signs and symbols and synchronicity. And when you're paying attention, you can do your own. You can be in your own little reality over here. You know what I mean? To the point where Shaka Khan comment on it, and her hit song is Through the Fire. And then you find out, at the same time, you find out that she's a priestess as well, into Yoruba and things like that. So Obatala made sense. You see what I'm saying? Let's just talk about just basic level of it just every day. I'm pretty sure y'all got 1,000 stories, but that's my story. And that showed me, okay, I'm at another level. And now when you hit this level, you got to go through another level, because now I have a responsibility. Now I have even more of a responsibility. Everything reflects on the outside. That's right, Janelle. That's right. Where we at? We at 746. All right, guys. All right, guys. So let's go into. I'm gonna pull this. I'm gonna pull this book up real quick here, and that way, well, I guess we can break out into the. Y'all want to hear the song yet? Friend, you still with us? I don't think she ready yet, y'all. Let me see if she ready. Let me see if she ready. Hope I ain't yelling y'all. Yeah. Okay, but all right. Well, if she come in, I think she gonna come in at 8. But we'll just keep going for now with the. Let me pull this book up here, cause boy, when I found this book, see, one thing about me, I'm gonna find that knowledge. I'm gonna find that knowledge that resonate with these different topics that I'm talking about. This book here is called "A Way of the Initiation." How is knowledge? How is knowledge of the higher world attained? How is knowledge of the higher world attained? Knowledge of the higher worlds in its attainment. This is a revised and enlarged edition of the way of initiation, with initiation in its results, by Rudolf Steiner. Rudolf Steiner is a metaphysical teacher. Last time we went into Edgar Casey, like I said, I go into anywhere with these teachings. If it makes sense, I'm gonna read it. I'm going to see what it's about. You know what I mean? That's the thing. Knowledge is infinite. But Rudolf Steiner is a metaphysical teacher from like the late 1800s going into like the early 1900s. And I always say, if you want to get some good information, you always go to old books. These old books will give it to you. These old books will give it to you. I'm going to share my screen here because it's a lot to read, and I want y'all to be able to see it as well. Let me know if you all can see that. Can you see that? Let me know if you can see that. Okay. So you're gonna get this book as well, the knowledge of the higher worlds and its attainment. So you're gonna get this book also. Oh, what did I do? Okay. All right. All right. So if we go to one of the things that got me like, see, I saw you. This book is old. Like it was first written in, what is this? Like the 1944, I believe it was 1944. Yeah. But yeah, this book got me because I was listening to it initially on online. I was listening to it with on YouTube. So you can do the audio version on YouTube too. You can do the audio version, and that's another hack. Listening to these books on the audio version that's the hack of the century. I turn it on in the car and I'm gone, and I'm turning it into a mobile library in my car. And I'm just listening to these things, and it's keeping my mind and it's keeping my frequency at a higher level to create a new program. That's why it's good to do this, even if you're at work, whatever you have to do. You have to do your day to day, but always slide this knowledge in and slide these different books in. But one of the things that got me about this book, it just talked about the now. It talked about the things, it talked about the initiation and the process that it is to become awakened. And that's what this is about. This is about freeing ourselves. But so many people saying they had a spiritual awakening, but they never really break down the steps like how we did with the alchemy. But this book right here breaks it down where you have to be. A lot of people don't like it, but it's a way to initiate yourself. You hear a lot of these words: initiation. Initiate yourself. You can do it yourself. You don't have to initiate into some type of philosophy or some type of group. I don't feel like you can, but I don't. So just the way he began it got me. There's slumber in every human being, faculties by means of which he can acquire for himself a knowledge of higher worlds. Mystics, Gnostics, Theosophists all speak of a world of soul and spirit, which for them is just as real as the world we see with our physical eyes and touch with our physical hands. Class, isn't that what we've been talking about today? Isn't that what we've been talking about today? Isn't that what we've been talking about today? Knowing that that reality is just as real as the physical reality, that spiritual reality. So as long as human race, hold on, at every moment, the listener may to think to himself that of which they speak, I too can learn. If I develop within myself certain powers which today still slumber within me. So you got to gain certain power. These remains only one question: how to set to work to develop such faculties. For this purpose, they only can give advice who already possess such powers. As long as the human race has existed, there has always been a method of training in the course of which individuals possessing these higher faculties gave instructions to others who were in search of them. And that's the whole thing with this. This is what this is about. This knowledge that we're going to be gaining, or these understandings that we're being gained, has been around for centuries. People learn it and then they teach it to others, and then they get their understanding and be able to pass it on. But everybody doesn't realize that they privy to this. That's why I always say that this knowledge is not secret, but it's sacred. This knowledge is not secret, but it's sacred. Everybody has access to it, but certain people ain't willing to take those steps. So such a training is called esoteric training or training. The instructions thereby received is called occult, esoteric teaching, or spiritual science. This designation naturally awakens misunderstandings because people don't have a understanding of this to that level. But I want to go past a certain part because I wanted to read this because it got me where he was saying like the uninitiated will never be able to hear this knowledge. So when you start talking to people, they're not gonna understand you. think that nothing of real importance. Oh yeah, there we go, right there. So the listener may very easily be misled into the belief that that this training or concern is for special or the privileged class. So people don't even think they can get their hands on this type of information. They think it's just for the privileged class, withholding this knowledge like to secret societies and Illuminati and all these different things, not knowing that you can gain this knowledge. He may even think that nothing of real importance lies within certain knowledge. Certain people don't even think this even matters. I mean, we have literally learned about the holographic nature of reality. We learned about the matrix. We learned about the Maya and the illusions, and we all learned that we learned about spiritual alchemy. But some people may look at this and say, "What does that matter? That means nothing to me. That's not about money. That I can't get no money. I can't do nothing material. But it's everything, no family. It's everything." They who so basically I like this, I love this part right here. He may even think that nothing of real importance lies behind such knowledge, for it is where a true knowledge he is tempted to think there would be no need to make a secret of it. It might be publicly imparted and the advantages made to it all. They who have been initiated, there we go, into the nature of this higher knowledge are not in the least surprised that the uninitiated should so think, for the secret of initiation can only be understood by those who have, to a certain degree, experienced this initiation into the higher knowledge of existence. Let's read that again, though, family, real quick. Let me read that again, real quick here. So, they who have been initiated into the nature of this higher knowledge are not at least surprised that the uninitiated should think that this doesn't matter. For the secret of the initiation can only be understood by those who have a certain degree experienced the initiation of higher knowledge. Y'all still with me? I'm over here reading away. I'm over here reading away. I hope that made sense. I hope that made sense. See, the uninitiated won't even hear these things. You can't even hear this type of talking unless you experienced it to a certain level. Everybody that's in here, I'm not above you. You're just hearing these messages from me. You all already experienced this, or you wouldn't even be here, because you'll say, what's the point? What's the point of learning about these things? But it's a major point. The question may be raised, how then are uninitiated under these circumstances developed any human interest in this so-called esoteric knowledge? How and why are they to seek for something of whose nature they can form no idea? Such a question is based upon an entirely erroneous conception of the real nature of esoteric knowledge. Um, let me see. Let me see. But that part right there is one of the main parts that I wanted to read. But we're gonna go into, so the method, because the whole thing with this book is it's about the different stages to be able to understand this higher knowledge, to be able to get to be an initiate of higher understandings. We vibrate too high for their comprehension. There we go. We vibrating so high that they can't even hear us. They can't even hear us. But it doesn't make them a bad person. It just makes them uninitiated into this type of knowledge. Everyone may be certain that initiation will find him under all circumstances if he gives proofs of an earnest and worthy endeavor to attain this knowledge. It is a natural law among all initiates to withhold from no man the knowledge that is due to him. But there is an equally, listen to this now, listen to this when we try to teach so much to people now. It is a natural law among all initiates to withhold from no man the knowledge that is due to him. Now, if you at that level, you need that knowledge. But there is an equally natural law which lays down that no word of esoteric knowledge shall be imparted to anyone not qualified to receive it. Y'all see what I'm saying? We learning about stuff. This is the stuff that they teach in the secret societies. I'm trying to tell y'all. This is stuff that they teach in these fraternities. These are the things that they know about. these ways of esoteric knowledge that they don't tell. Now I only can go so far into the actual knowledge itself, but I can give you the blueprint of how to walk your walk. You don't have to tell everybody these things. You don't have to let everybody know that you have these things. You don't even really have to even express it really, because you're going to walk in that light and you're going to be able to show it. That makes sense. I know y'all already on that though. That makes sense, right? I know y'all already on that though. I know y'all already on that. I know you already on that. Okay, so the methods by which student is prepared for the reception of higher knowledge are prescribed, minutely prescribed. The direction he is to take to trace with unfading, everlasting letters in the worlds of spirit, where the initiates guards the higher secrets. In ancient times of our history, the temples of the spirit were also outwardly visible. Today, because our life has become so unspiritual, they are not to be found in the world visible to external sight. Yet they are present spiritually everywhere, and all who seek may find them. In spiritual science, this fundamental attitude is called a path of veneration, of devotion and truth and knowledge. That's what we're on. We're on a path of veneration, a path of knowingness, a path of understanding, a path of veneration, a path of veneration. This the disposition. Oh, I'm sorry. Without this attitude, no one can become a student. The deposition shown in their childhood by subsequent students of higher knowledge is well known to the experience in these matters. There are children who look up with religious awe to those whom they venerate. For such people, they have a respect which forbids them, even in the deepest recesses of their heart, to harbor any thought of criticism or opposition. Such children grow up into young men and women who feel happy when they are able to look up to anything that fills them with veneration. From the ranks of such children are recruited many students of higher knowledge. Have you ever paused outside the door of some venerated person, and have you on this first visit felt a religious awe as you pressed on the handle to enter the room for which you were in this holy place? I hope that happened here. I hope you feeling that in here. You feeling that vibration of, we learning some deep knowledge. We learning some stuff here. We are in a path of veneration. But I'm kind of just reading along here. Okay, okay. So then this is the next part, and let me see if I can, give me one moment, guys. Give me one moment, because I want to get, because the next part of it is, so you see we go into inner tranquility. This is the initiation. So that's what the whole point of all this is about. What I'm talking about right now. This is all about the stages of an initiation, your spiritual awakening, right? Your spiritual awakening, right? That's right, Janelle. Command things into your life. Command them into your life, because it's all an illusion, and you got the power. You got the ability to do that through these practices that we'll learn at the end, through these abilities that we're learning at the end. But I hope this made sense, because I wanted to say that part. I wanted to say that part because it resonated with me so hard, because we find ourselves being outcasted in this world when we start having this knowledge, and we want to spread it to so many people, and we want to express this knowledge to so many others. But then the next thing we know is they don't hear us. They can't hear us. And then the thing about it, they're not able to hear us. And then the next thing they know, they end up hating us sometime. They end up belittling you. They end up being a black sheep. Nope, I got to talk about that. Got to talk about it. I'm feeling it. You end up being a black sheep. You end up being one of those people that they outcast. You end up being the lone wolf. You end up being thinking that you tripping. You start thinking that maybe you own to something that you don't need to be into, but really and truly you initiated into higher knowledge, and really and truly this was already in your soul contract, and really and truly you knew this since you was a child. You felt this and you understood it, but you might have got programmed by the matrix, by the veil. You might have stood behind the veil and never went inside of it. And then when you did finally go inside of it, it scared scared you so bad because you had to walk through that fire. You had to go through these hard times, and you had to do all these things to the point where it feels like maybe I'm doing something wrong and maybe I'm being punished because I'm going through so much. As soon as I try to find a higher knowledge and understanding, and then you try to tell other people about it and they laugh at you and they tell you that you're tripping or they tell you that you're going crazy, and then you look out at society and you don't see many people that's talking the same way that you're talking. But the whole time is you initiated into higher knowledge and you deserving of this. And that's why you keep running into these algorithms that keep leading you to this knowledge, because you're deserving of it and you're able to receive it at this point in your reality. Otherwise, it would have never showed up physically. It would have never showed up physically. I hope that made sense. I hope that made sense, family. I hope that made sense, family. All right, so let's go into it now. So the next part was the stages of the initiation, because this was very similar to what we talked about with the spiritual alchemy and the different stages of the spiritual alchemy. But I feel like Rudolf Steiner got down on this. I feel like he got down on it. See, look, probation stage. What we got? We got a probation stage. After the probation stage, we got enlightenment. Then he just kind of breaks down the control of thoughts and feelings. It always goes back to your thoughts and feelings to will your desire into this reality. And this is all stuff that you're going to get, because, of course, I can't read all this to you. I can't read all this to you, though, but I'm going to go into it briefly here. Let me see if Trent ready to give y'all a little taste of the song though. Let me see if Trent ready to give you a little taste of the song though. Everybody still doing good? How everybody still doing out there? I know we went into a lot of different things. Y'all still doing good? You still doing well? We got about 45 minutes almost in class. Everybody still doing well. I see you still up in here. I see everybody still here. Well, tell her wake up. Everybody in here, everybody doing great. Okay, okay. Thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you, ancient intuition. Thank you, thank you. Look, I don't want to say your name wrong. I appreciate y'all. Man, y'all been great. Y'all really have. I really have had a good time in here with you all, and just teaching you this knowledge and going into these different things. I really had a good time with it. Queen, love it, love it, love it. I appreciate y'all too. Sajai, you still with us? Cause I could have swore you said at 8 o'clock we get a song. Ain't that right, y'all? She told us at 8 o'clock. She the one said it. Waiting on our song. But we're gonna go into the but once we do go into it next, we're gonna go into the initiation. And then once we go from the initiation, we're gonna go into the spiritual awakening book that I have for you all, and we're just gonna go over basic tips. Basic tips and principles to make it where you can keep going and learn this even more. I hope that makes sense to everybody. Yep. Yep, 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 yep.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you, Sajai. We here with you. And like I said, her voice was a little out, so she might, for the last couple of days, but she want to break that into song. We at service right now. I'm gonna be quiet.
Well, greetings, everyone. I did tell Ricky I would try to deliver a song for everyone. I missed out the last couple of classes we've had here, just simply being at work. This time I completely lost my voice a couple of days ago, but we're going to see. And at this time, we just want to, make sure everyone is listening and taking everything in. And the question is of the song, and the main focus is Are you getting it? And this is for you. This is for my brothers and sisters. Can you hear me? Can you hear this message? Brothers, we can walk in a new light. No more stalling. Can't you hear me, brothers and sisters? Well, this is for my brothers and sisters. Listen to this message. Brothers, we can walk in a new light. No more stalling. Can't you hear me, brothers and sisters? We can walk in the kingdom of heaven. We can walk in the kingdom of heaven. We can walk in the kingdom of heaven.
I hope you all enjoyed that. My bad, my mic was off. I hope you all enjoyed that. Yeah, that's part of the service. Yeah, we appreciate it. We can we really could hear that. That sounded lovely. We're gonna work on making it even better for you all. So if we keep these classes going, we're gonna have better quality mics and everything. But I hope y'all enjoyed that little song break there that we just had. And where were we at with it? We said we was going into the initiation stage. But before we go into, how about this? Before we go into the initiation stage, I think I want to go ahead and bring Sovereign on the mic as well, to go ahead and give you, probably like a build on what we went through. If Sovereign's still there with us, if you're not Sovereign, we'll keep moving on. But if you're ready, you can come off your mute here.
Okay, yeah, I'm off the mute. Can you
Yeah,
hear me?
yeah, we can hear you. If you wanted to give them a little build on this, like I was telling everybody, Sovereign basically, like I've been mentoring Sovereign. Sovereign got some good information for you as well. You see him busy in the chat. He's full of love. He's full of high vibration. And,
Oh yeah.
you
Oh
want to
yeah.
give him
Oh yeah.
some, Sovereign? The floor is yours right now.
I appreciate you, first of all. Well, first and foremost, thank you for the opportunity. Second, Songbird, yeah, walking into the kingdom of heaven, definitely needed that. That was fire. That was fire. You did your thing. It doesn't even sound like your voice has went anywhere. It's definitely still here. It's definitely working. That's dope. That was very dope. I enjoyed that. We walking into the kingdom of heaven, man. Ricky, I appreciate you being a warrior angel and for passing on all of this knowledge immensely, bro. Millions of eyes are on you. The spiritual warfare is so high. You got all these followers, all these people that's looking forward to seeing you every day, and they don't even know, like, you still got to make sure that you do what you need to do for yourself. So for you to go through all of this energy and to be like bench pressing all of these tons of, you know what I'm saying, energies that's on you all the time, like, man, kudos to you for being able to make it through all of that and still stay 10 toes and wings up and mind sharp, you know what I'm saying, and sword sharp, and really to show up in the way that you're showing up, brother. I really appreciate you doing what you're doing. You're commendable. I have this book of yours. I've read Mind Alignment 1 and 2. I just got You Win When You're Right Within, 11 Keys of Spiritual Alignment. Bro, this book is phenomenal for everybody that's still waiting on the book. He said that he's gonna put that in our ebook, in our email. He's gonna put that ebook in our email for us after everything is said and done. but I would really highly recommend getting a physical copy just to make sure that you can go ahead and have that with you. It's paperback. It is beautiful quality. Um, I got it really fast off of Amazon. It is what 120 good pages. He's got his references, resources in here. Um, the mental alchemy side was phenomenal. That's key number two. Another one that I want to point out in there, reprogramming of the mind. And I don't want to give too much away because you don't even know. He didn't even know I was gonna do this. But key 11, you already won. Everything he's telling us right now is like we are so far past the illusions and the distractions and the BS that they're trying to feed us every day through these screens, through this programming, through the lies and deception that they keep trying to constantly bombard our visions and our psyche with. Our goals extend far past anything that this earth has to offer us. We are literally walking and stepping and marching in towards heaven. It is so important for us to have these builds. Like, Ricky, for you to have these classes is so important for this to take place because this is the microcosm as we pour into that macrocosm. Like, each of us are going to go somewhere or go to our lives like after this and have this seeded into our memory bank. Like, each of us have a new download with this happening. Like, our software, our hardware is being updated right now, reprogrammed, and you are literally like taking part in how we're newly architecting ourselves. Like, this is a whole new build for us. We're constructing something that's fresh, completely fresh, especially after this full moon, especially after the elections that just happened, especially after Halloween that just passed freshly in Georgia and Augusta, Georgia. We just had a hurricane. So all of the energy is still pretty fresh. I know, especially for myself speaking, like it still feels pretty dense. You can see it outside. You still see the disaster relief trucks. Like, come on, y'all, we going through real life right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't want us to have this information. They didn't want us to chop it up like this. They don't want us to disseminate everything that they have in front of us, the lies and the pillars that they've built for years and millennia, decades to get us here, centuries to get us here, to try to stop us from already doing what's already done because it's one. Just like that 11th key, and you win when you write within. Shout out to Ricky Prestige Leverage Jr. Y'all should go ahead and get that. Go ahead and get that paperback. Y'all go ahead and do that. Just like the 11th key in the book, we have already won. I think that it's a hard reset that's happening right now, let alone that's going to take place in 2025. I don't even want to go as far as to say that because that's kind of far away. These like next, like what? I think it's only like 40 something days left, 50 something days left in 2024. These, y'all pay attention to these last days of 2024. You hear about everybody speaking about the last days. We learned from Ricky's class last time that we are in the Kali Yuga, the Iron Age of the Yugas. These last days are filled with so much battle, so much endurance, so many challenges and tests. And I just want y'all to know, like, we are truly winning. Even if you feel like you're not exactly where you need to be, because there's more fire that you got to go through. Shout out to Ricky, the story of you and Shaka Khan and you seeing the elder um, pull up to you in your vision. That is the mental alchemy that he's talking about. That's the visualization that he's talking about. That's the meditation that he's talking about. Being able to do right now, I have 888 hertz frequencies going on behind me. The harmony that we're able to allow ourselves to step into and that will unfold is going to strictly come from that belief in ourselves and having that conversation. This brother was able, listen, he was able to, oh my gosh, he was able to take that meditation and that vision that he had with the elder, that he had with Grandma Margie, that he had with his grandmother and that elder. And he was able to take that as a lesson for himself in this third dimension here, where we are right now, to take that as a lesson to change something inside of himself to then make that vibrate so high video, which we y'all know the rest is history. We're here in it. Vibrate so high. That first video that he made, and the confirmation that this man got back was from freaking, excuse my French, from daggone Shaka Khan. It was from Shaka Khan through the fire. Kanye West sampled Shaka Khan right through the wire. We're talking about history that has been made, history that's in making. We're talking about global and universal impact. that is touching and that is stemming and that is channeling and networking through us right now as we speak in this moment, that this man has tapped into the collective consciousness in order to have some type of insight and some type of change and expression towards to find us here in this class together, all of us here right now, listening to him, listening to Songbird, listening to me speak right now and Yap, all of us right now in this daggone moment to see how big of a change that is happening right now. We are literally touching through the fabric of this Maya, of this illusion. Like, they can't hold us, they can't stop us, especially when we're collaborating with people that are like-minded, with people that are as sharp as us, with people that have an open eye and that are mental architects and alchemists that are looking forward to making this change. And like Saji Songbird said, walking into heaven, my brothers and sisters, we got this. Prestige, you're a phenomenal warrior. I appreciate you, good brother, and I'm thankful to walk amongst you.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. I appreciate that, Sovereign. I appreciate that. That was lovely. That was a lovely breakdown. We're gonna keep building. We're gonna keep building on that energy right there. I could hear your hertz frequency in the back, so that sounded good. Okay, Patrina, you can hear me? Okay, so I'm glad the audio back. Okay, perfect, perfect. Everybody's still doing good. I hope you enjoyed our guest. Y'all enjoyed our guest? I hope so. I hope so. We want to make sure we got a beautiful song for it. I guess Sajai Songbird, Sovereign. I just wanted to make sure. And maybe at the end, if anybody got something to maybe say, you can say your 2 cents as well. Here with it. But I just wanted to make sure I knew Sovereign was gonna kind of break that down in the perfect words there of what we're doing here. Or what we're doing at this moment, how much it really matters, like how deep it really is, that these type of teachings and these things that you're deciding to take that time with yourself and really learn yourself on a deeper level. That's an amazing ability, and that's an amazing thing to be fulfilling. So let's talk about the initiation. Then we got about 30 minutes. Here we're going to talk about the initiation, and then I'm going to try and go real quickly into that Spiritual Awakening book. We might go over a couple minutes here. I hope not. But if we do, if you want to stick around, that's cool. But like I say, I'm going to give you all this on there. I hope everybody then learned a lot in this class so far. I hope it has helped out. Now let's get into this initiation. So we done walked through the fire. We done went through the spiritual alchemy. We done learned about the matrix. We done learned about Maya. We done learned about the illusion. We done learned about the veil. So what else do we need to learn about? We need to be initiated into this higher sets of knowledge here for ourselves. So I'm gonna go back to sharing the screen here with you all, so you can read it on your time as well. You might see something that might grab you that I'm not saying out loud. So I hope y'all can see that. Hope y'all can see that. Okay, perfect, perfect. All right, so let's talk about initiation. So, the information given in the following chapters forms a part of an esoteric training. See, this is a training. I love the way that they use that word training. I love the way that they're using training. When you go to work, you train before you go out there and really try to get on the floor and do that job. You have that training, you have those teachings, you have that time where you learn, where you begin to learn more about yourself and things of that nature at that time. So, let me see here. Okay. Okay, go back. Okay, there we go. Okay, good. My bad. But yeah, so so you train to get to a certain level. You train to get to to be able to become a professional. Same way with your spiritual awakening. You have to train yourself. You have to use these practices and these techniques almost like muscles. There's different stages that you're going to go through. Sometimes you're going to be sore. Sometimes you're going to get an injury. Sometimes you're going to feel strong as you ever feel. Sometimes you're going to be vibrating high. Sometimes you're going to be low. It's all an up and down process because you're going through a training system, and it's an esoteric training. So esoteric meaning the inner work, and the name and character which will be understood by all who apply this information in the right way. And like I say, you can go back to this. Like, it's impossible for me to teach you this kind of knowledge all in 3 hours, but you can go back to all of this to get another degree of your own initiation. Like he said, but only so much here here be explained as can be publicly imparted, because a lot of this stuff goes even deeper. These are merely indications extracted from a still far deeper and more intimate doctrine. In esoteric training itself, a quite definite course of instruction is followed. Certain exercises enable the soul to attain a conscious intercourse with the spiritual world. We talked about that earlier. We talked about the meditation. We talked about the visualization. We talked about the journaling. We talked about the grounding. We talked about stepping into nature. All these exercises are making you stronger, being able to see past that veil, if that makes sense to everybody. I hope that makes sense to everybody. But okay, so these exercises bear about here about the same relation to what will be imparted in the following pages. As the instructions given in a higher, strictly disciplined school to the incidental teaching in a preparatory school, and yet the earnest and persevering pursuit of the course here indicated will lead to genuine esoteric training. But an impatient person that's dabbling in it, devoid of earnest perseverance, meaning that you got to keep going at this, you got to keep working at it, you got to keep going, because that's what's going to take you to those transformation states. It's not really something that you could just say, hey, do this certain meditation right here, you're going to be there. That's why when you hear these classes, I can't just tell you do this, this, and this, because it's not going to work like that for you. You got to have that general aspect of it, and then you got to walk into that thing, those experiences yourself, and then you're going to get better and better with the things that work for you and your soul, because you have your own divine spark that's going to tell you the exercises. You can get general with it, like we're doing now, and then we can get techniques with it. But the more and more you do it, the more you're going to come up with your own style. Just like I'm talking and teaching in my own style, that's the same way that you'll get your own style of how you do your exercises. But you got to know the basics, which is those things that we talked about earlier, and which are going into these initiations. Certain exercises enable us, the soul, to attain a conscious intercourse with the spiritual world. These exercises bear about the same relation to what will be imparted in the following pages. The instructions given in a higher, strictly disciplined school. But okay, so let me go. So the three stages. Okay, we're gonna go into the three stages of um of the training, of initiating yourself, of being in this spiritual awakening, freeing yourself. We going back to free yourself. That's what the call is about, how to free yourself. You free yourself through these initiation processes, so you know what level you on, so you don't feel discouraged when you walking through the fire, when you think you're supposed to be vibrating way higher and supposed to be having millions of dollars and doing all these other things, but you walking through the fire and then you give up and you stay in the fire, in the pits of the fire of that hell. And that's not where we're trying to go. We're trying to evolve and keep going. So if you're going through hell right now, you might be walking through the fire to make you into a even more of a person. You might be purifying yourself from all those impurities and that ego and those different things that kept you back within that matrix. I hope that made sense. Now, the three stages which above mentioned tradition specifies are as follows. Number one, the probation. Listen to that word. Ooh, the probation period. This is just like training at work. You know, you go through your little probation period. You know what I mean? That's the way you can look at these things too. That's where they got it from. That's where they got these steps from. We not getting it from them. They got it from here. But the probation, the enlightenment, and the initiation. It is not altogether necessary that the first of these three stages should be completed before the second can begin, nor that the second in turn be completed before the third be started. In certain respects, it is possible to partake of enlightenment and even of initiation, and in other respects, still be in the probationary stage. So, like I said, this is going to come to you different. This is the spirit world we dealing with. We dealing with the metaphysics. We really dealing with the chaos beyond the physical. So it can come in any way. So it's not a step by step. You probably know that already. Yet it will be necessary to spend certain time in the stage of probation before any enlightenment can begin, unless in some respects enlightenment must be completed before it is even possible to enter upon the stage of initiation. But in describing them, it is necessary for the sake of clarity that the three stages be made to follow in turn. So they say you could go either way. You know, this metaphysical, it can go either way. You can run into these stages on different levels, but these are what we're going to talk about step by step. So the first one that they talk about is probation. The probation consists of a strict and definite cultivation of the life of thought and feeling through which the psychic spiritual body becomes equipped with organs of sense activity. In the same way, the natural forces have fitted the physical body with organs built out of living matter. Same way that our bodies were formed, the same way that our bodies went through these things to form these organs, those are the things that we're doing to cultivate ourselves into a new form of being. That's what that basically was just saying there. To begin with, the attention of the soul is directed to certain events in the world that surround us. Such events are, on the one hand, life that is budding, growing, and flourishing, and on the other hand, all phenomenon connected with fading, decaying, and weathering as well. The student can observe these events simultaneously. Wherever he turns his eyes, and on every occasion, they naturally evoke in him feelings and thoughts. But under ordinary circumstances, he does not devote himself sufficiently to them. He hurries on to quickly form impressions to impressions. It is necessary, and that's a lot right there, but listen, check this out. It is necessary, therefore, that he should fix his attention intently and consciously upon the phenomenons. So you should be looking at the world from both sides, from the fading and decaying and the weathering away, and also for the flourishing and the growing and the budding aspect of reality. This is part of the probation stage. Let's look at it at a macro level of the world, and let's look at it at our part. Look at the both sides of the coins that you're going through during this probation stage, and through on a larger scale where we're talking about the world. Is that a lot? Do y'all understanding where we coming from with that? Y'all understanding where Rudolf Steiner coming from with that? I want to make sure before we move on. Y'all understanding that part? There we go. We have to do the creation to rewrite. You got to see it all. You got to see the things that's failing and the things that's going up in order to be able to rewrite the whole script. Wherever you turn your eyes, you're going to get, if you're really living out here, you're going to get a deeper perspective of whatever you're looking at. Whatever you choose to study, whatever you choose to look into, you can see it different. You can look at drill rap and see the spirituality in it. You can look at the TV and see the deeper aspects in it. You can look at Mike Tyson and Jake Paul fighting on a different aspect. You can live this reality how you want to, but you're going to you don't go off just an impression. You actually feel it. When you're going off impressions, that means you're still working out of that matrix that they gave you of how to view it. You're at an advantage. A lot of people don't realize that you're at an advantage. People feel like they're outcasts and they're in the hermit mode, but they're really at an advantage because you're really out here feeling life. You're really out here feeling it. I hope that made sense. I hope that makes sense. Because the true student can observe both. So it's necessary, therefore, that he should fix his attention intently and consciously upon these phenomenons, wherever he observes a definite kind of blooming and flourishing, he must banish everything else from his soul and entirely surrender himself for a short time to this one impression. He will soon convince himself that a feeling which, therefore, in a similar case, which would merely have filtered through his soul, now swells out and assumes a powerful and energetic form. When you really dive into this stuff, you really get it in, you vibrate higher, you really start diving into these different topics here with it, and you really start to feel it. You really start to feel it. The first look at things as keenly and as intently as you possibly can, then only let the feeling which expands to life and the thought which arises in the soul take possession of you. The point is that the attention should be directed with the perfect inner balance upon both phenomena. If the necessary tranquility be attained, and if you surrender yourself to the feeling which expands to life in the soul, then in due time the following experiences will ensue. Thoughts and feelings will be noticed of a new kind and unknown before, uprising in the soul. So the more you start feeling things, the more you start getting a deeper look at things, the more you start doing these practices, the more the soul you start living through your soul purpose. You start living through that inner being that was there the whole time. A matrix can't hold you no more. You're watching the matrix unfold. You're creating a matrix. You can feel your soul energy when you start living life that way. That's why when you go into a room, everybody looking at you, because it's almost like you just done worked out and got swole. You see what I'm saying? You see how I'm breaking this down? This is in real time that I'm breaking this down. If that makes sense to y'all, you know what I'm saying? Just like you're able to feel when you use your soul to look at things. When you start looking at things with your third eye, with a better perspective of it, you become a student to the reality. Your experiences are deeper. You start getting a deeper insights. You start saying all these profound things. You start looking at something that was once simple and you see it bigger. This is the probation stage. This is you learning what reality is really about. You're starting to break it down. All of this still making sense to you all, right? We still on the same wavelength, right? I'm just telling you what when you start living out of your soul purpose. There we go. This is why your content is so important. It reminds us, yeah, you need that spark. You need that spark within that algorithm to spark your interest and to spark your divine divinity and to remind you, wait a minute, I'm in control of this thing here. I'm in control. I'm running this. I'm able to have this. I'm able to handle these problems. These are problems are illusions. You start looking at your problem like, what am I learning in this? You start looking at your meditation like, what is it telling me? What are these signs and symbols start telling me? You start walking with the signs and symbols. You go into a room and you see a direct sign for it and it starts speaking to you and your reality start changing. And to the uninitiated person, you might be crazy, but to the initiated person, they understand what you're doing. But your thoughts and feelings become, bigger. They start blossoming. And you can feel the descent too. You can feel the decaying, the fading. You can go into that darkness because that's another aspect of reality. We not marking off and saying positive vibes only. We feeling it all. We feeling it all. So that's the probation. That's the probation aspect. Let me keep going. If the student has progressed so far that he can perceive the spiritual forms of those from, hold on, let me see. Let me go right here. Let me go right here. Okay. So just basically what we were talking about with this, we were just talking about this. A new world is open to the student if he systematically and deliberately surrenders himself to such feelings. The soul world, the so-called astral plan, begins to dawn upon him. The soul world, I can't even imagine living this reality thinking it's just physical. I can't even imagine going day to day and thinking I just got to wake up and go to work and thinking I ain't got no faith and thinking I ain't got no higher self and thinking I ain't got no protection around me and knowing that the world is spiritual. I can't even imagine. And a lot of people that are doing that, that's why they're going through these depressions. A lot of people that do feel that way, that's why they can't see past the matrix. That's why they feel hopeless. That's why they scared of the Illuminati. That's why they scared of Trump. That's why they scared of 2025. That's why they scared of their own reality. That's why they always in these type of states of mind, because they're not really realizing what's happening on the spiritual plane is more powerful than anything that they can throw at you on the physical. But when you are so caught up in that matrix and you can't see behind the veil, the next thing you know, you just experience life at a docile, low level. I hope that made sense. I hope that made sense. I know I get loud and get to preaching. I know I get loud and get to preaching. I do a little bit of preaching, a little bit of teaching, and a little bit of learning. A little bit of preaching, a little bit of preaching, a little bit of teaching, a little bit of learning. But you start living life at a higher level when you start getting this development of yourself. Two students who have reached the corresponding stage of development will also see the same lines and figures and under the same condition. So basically just saying if you're on the same wavelength, you're gonna find your tribe. That's basically what they're saying with that one. But let's keep going. Let's keep going. What was the next one here? The probation, the enlightenment. Okay, so we at 8:36. Y'all still with me? Y'all still good in here? Y'all still good in here? Still good in here. Okay, so we at 8:36. Let me go. Keep going. So basically, just the just of the probation period is pretty much living it, really feeling it all. And the more you start embracing the soul world, the astral plane of your higher self, and surrendering yourself to these feelings, and really start experiencing this, then you begin to change your reality. It starts to look totally different to you. Um, and then you get access to more. You start getting access to more of the spiritual realm. You start getting access to more understanding of things. You start getting access to higher knowledge. You start dropping jewels out of nowhere. You start channeling these higher things, and becoming more intellectual with it. And um, you're able to break down high topics in a simple way. If the student has progressed so far that he can perceive the spiritual forms of those phenomena which are physically visible to his external sight, he will then not be far from the stage when he shall behold things which have no corresponding physical existence, and which therefore remain entirely hidden occult from those who have not received suitable instruction and training. It should be emphasized that the student must never lose himself in speculations on the meaning of one thing or another. Such intellectualizing, and that's the main thing, they're going to try to hit you with the intellectual part of it. Like, okay, well, prove it then. Do this with it. Do this, and that's the way that they taught us how to learn instead of being on our own investigation. They taught us to intellectualize things instead of using the spiritual nature of ourselves and the metaphysical. He should look out at the world with the keen, healthy senses and quick power of observation, and then give himself up to the feeling that arises within him. He should not try to make out through intellectual speculation what the things mean, but rather allow the things themselves to tell him. It should be remarked that artistic feeling, when coupled with the quiet, introspective nature, forms the best preliminary condition for the development of your spiritual faculties. Let's break that down real quick right there. Let's break that down real quick. This is all how to free yourself now. We still on that. Once you internalize these things, you start going down a different road. Instead of trying to prove it intellectually, you start letting things explain themselves to you, and you get your own understanding. That's why I say you can look at anything and get a deeper understanding of it. That's what it's about, being an alchemist. That's what it's about, being a metaphysician. That's what it's about, transforming your reality. So you'll get this feeling, and you'll just, the more you do these things, the bigger your secrets will be revealed to you. You will see things that are not ever been in the physical. You start seeing things outside of this. That's what I'm saying about it. But a further point of importance is what spiritual science calls orientation in the higher worlds. This is attained when the student is permanent through and through with the conscious realization that feelings and thoughts are verifiable, are veritable realities, just as much as the table and chairs of the world of the physical senses. We went back into the holographic universe, hologram of the universe being that, but now we're talking about your own orientation into this. Now we're talking about your own initiation process in your probation stage of learning yourself. In the soul and thought world, feelings and thoughts react upon each other just as physical objects react upon each other in the physical world. As long as the student is not vividly permeated with this consciousness, he will not believe that a wrong thought in his mind may have a devastating and an effect upon other thoughts that spread life in the thought world, as the effect wrought by a bullet fired at random upon the physical objects it hits. He will perhaps never allow himself to perform a physically visible action which he considers to be wrong, though he will not shrink from harboring wrong thoughts and feelings when these appear harmless to the rest of the world. See, your thoughts and your feelings, when you looking at the world from that standpoint that we were talking about before, where you uninitiated, you thinking, oh, having a negative thought and thinking negative all the time, it's not going to do nothing. But like they just said in that book, it's just like firing a gun, and you firing it randomly. It's going to hit something in the physical. The same way it works with the thoughts that we think. You think of a negative thought, or it's going to combine itself and go into something else and become something in the physical reality. Y'all see what I'm talking about right now? Y'all see what I'm talking about? This is how you free yourself through your thoughts, through paying attention to the thoughts that you're thinking, and actually paying attention to when you're gonna have negative thoughts. You're gonna have these things come up because it's part of the nature of reality. But just thinking that, oh, I can just think negative, or I can be negative all the time, or I can walk in the room just be negative, it's not gonna do nothing. These are just thoughts, and that's not true. These are the things that matter the most. As long as the student, okay, so the thought world, boom, boom, boom. I love this part. There can be no progress, however, on the path to higher knowledge unless, here we go. There can be no progress, however, on the path to higher knowledge, and I'll put spiritual awakening here, and I'll put a spiritual initiation here as well, unless we guard our thoughts and feelings in just the same way as we guard our steps in the physical world. We have to guard our thoughts and the things that we come up in our minds the same way that we protect our steps and also our physical property and these different things of that nature. In so doing, we do not become deficient in feeling. Hold on. In the place of petty emotions, people always talk about petty emotions and just random flight of thoughts. There appear significant emotions and thoughts that are fruitful. Feelings and thoughts of this kind lead the student to orientation. Well, they talking about higher thoughts. My bad about the petty part, but higher thoughts lead you into orientation in the spiritual world. You attain your right position in relation to the things of the spiritual world that result into an effect in your favor. You begin to start flourishing. He follows then all process of growing and flourishing, and on the other hand, of weathering and decaying in a way necessary for his own and his world advancement. So that's what it's about. That's what it's about. That's what it's about. That's the probation stage. Now let's go into the enlightenment. Let's go into the enlightenment because we only got a few more minutes. I hope y'all still with me. I hope y'all still doing good out there. Y'all still with me. Let's vibrate higher. Let's keep vibrating higher until 9 o'clock. And then once 9 o'clock hit, if I still got to go into that other book, I will go into that. But let's keep vibrating higher. I appreciate y'all again for sticking around for the full 3 hours. Everybody stuck around too. That's crazy. That's nice though. That's nice. Okay, but the enlightenment is the result of very simple processes. Here too, it is a matter of developing certain feelings and thoughts which slumber in every human being must be awakened. It must be awakened. It's sleep because we are with the veil. It's sleep because we are in the illusion. It's sleep because we have the matrix that have created these programs. It's sleep because we don't never really know ourselves because we have to go through the process of self-remembering. We have to go through those. Now, some people born with it, some people didn't go through that type of program, but the majority of us, yeah, this is our hero's journey. We gotta go through that mental alchemy steps to come to a certain point of enlightenment, and these are all tips to it. I can't wait till y'all can read this for yourself. By the way, it's coming from holy books. I like that. But enlightenment is the result of very simple processes, a matter of developing certain feelings and thoughts which slumber in every human being and must be awakened. It is only then when these simple processes are carried out with unfailing patience, continuously and strenuously. The aspect of it, once again, is continuously with patience and strenuously. It's a process, it's a training process, it's an esoteric training process that we're going through here. Now, the enlightenment, it can lead to so it is only when these simple processes carried out with patience that they can lead to perception of the inner light forms. The first step is to take in by observing different natural objects in a particular way. For instance, a transparent and beautifully formed crystal, a plant, and an animal. The student should endeavor at first to direct his whole attention to a comparison to the stone with the animal in the following manner. The thoughts here mentioned shall pass through his soul, accompanied by vivid feelings, and no other thought, no other feeling must mingle with them and disturb what they do. So the stone has a form, the animal also has a form. The stone remains motionless in its place, the animal changes in its place. It is instinct desire which causes the animal to change its place. Instincts too are served by the form of of the animal. So it's basically just asking yourself these deeper questions and comparing these things to see that they're all one, and just keep gaining these deeper understandings of your reality, of these crystals, of these stones, of these, of the animals, of the people, of so many things. This is part of the enlightenment aspect of it. And it all goes back to feelings and thoughts. Once the faculty of seeing with the spiritual eyes has been acquired, one then encounters sooner or later the beings here mentioned, some of them higher and some lower than man himself, beings which never exert physical reality. So this book goes into more of, once you start doing these certain things, you're going to be able to see beyond the veil. You may see things that have never been here physically. Your imagination may get more distinct. You may start seeing things that you didn't see before. You may start seeing those orbs. You may start seeing people's auras. You feel me? It's a training to these systems when you start taking and working on yourself with these techniques. By under all circumstances, one precaution is necessary, failing which it is were to better leave untrodden all steps on the path to higher knowledge. It is necessary that the student should lose none of his qualities as a good and noble man, or his receptivity for all physical reality. Indeed, throughout his training, he must continuously increase, and this is another important, because you have a responsibility now. You have a responsibility to yourself now. Now that you have these higher knowledge, you have to be morally correct, and you have to come with your own morals, because it ain't going to be the morals of the matrix. It's going to be the morals that you come up with, because now you have a bigger responsibility to yourself, and that's so important when you're going through this. Okay, so to give an example, during the elementary exercises, during the elementary exercises of enlightenment, the student must have a care to be always enlarging his sympathy for the animal and the human worlds, and in his sense for the beauty of nature. Failing this care, such exercises would continually blunt that feeling and that sense. The heart would become hardened and the senses blunted, and that could only lead to perilous results. So foregoing exercises from the stone, the plant, and the animal up to the man, and how after enlightenment under all circumstances. So basically, just getting a deeper way of looking at the world. There you go. The colors get brighter and new colors come through. I love it. I love it. You start seeing the world different. These are things that the uninitiated will call you crazy for, but they calling you crazy because they can't see it, because they haven't filtered those through those thoughts. They haven't went through those initiation steps. They haven't went through those steps to be able to get to this higher state. And when I talk like this online, they get mad at me. Family, they be like, "Yeah, you ego." No, this is not an ego. When I say chosen, I'm talking about chosen is not an easy thing to do. The chosen gives you the ability to be able to see through the illusion and see things that other people can't see, which will then leave you as a one, chosen one, can leave you alone. Y'all still with me? Y'all still with me? Y'all still with me? Okay, so then we go into so the next part of it was, because we ain't got that much time, no, but the next part of it was he goes into just basically, like we were talking about, how to guard yourself is how you um how you uh how you guard your thoughts, and know that the thought world is just as important as the physical world. That's the main way that you protect yourself. And one of the things that they talked about is getting to the point where you're able to even hear things that you disagree with without having a reaction to it, without being mad that they don't know the things that you know. This all comes with that next level of understanding too, though. But okay, the veil, the seer is to behold a working of these forces. Let me see. Let's see. So the initiation. Yeah, Lee, I didn't know we was gonna be this close. We always do this, don't we? We always do this. I get to the ending and barely get it out. But the initiation is the highest stage of the esoteric state training, concerning which is possible to give some indications in the book to the general public. Like I said, he's not going to go over everything in here. Whatever lies beyond forms a subject difficult to understand, yet the way it to it can be found by all who have passed through probation, enlightenment, and initiation. You have reached the lower mysteries. The knowledge and proficiency conferred by initiation cannot be obtained in any other manner except in some far distant future after many incarnations. That's a whole nother level there. The secrets of existence are only accessible to an extent corresponding to a man's own degree of fitness, meaning their own degree of working with yourself in this type of knowledge. For this realm alone, the path to higher stages of knowledge and power is beset with obstacles. A firearm should not be used until sufficient experience has been gained to avoid damage being caused by its use. A person initiated today without further ado would lack the experience which the future revelation of this higher knowledge would duly bring to him in the course of incarnations in his normal development. So basically, you have to go through what we call these trials and these tribulations, which you go through, which is a form of initiation. So that goes back to what we were saying before. I hope y'all with me with that. I hope y'all with me with that. I hope that sparks something in you. These trials are often discussed in books, but it's only natural that such discussion should, as a rule, give quite false impressions for their nature. For without passing through probation and enlightenment, no one can know anything of these tests and appropriately describe them. The would-be initiate must come into contact with certain things and facts belonging to the higher worlds, seeing beyond the veil. The more you work at it, the more you start seeing beyond the veil. And like someone just mentioned here, Jenny, the next thing they said here, I think it was Jenny. Jenny, yeah, the colors get brighter. The next thing they said here, that once you go through these things, you start seeing the higher world, but we can only see and hear them if the feelings is right for the perception of the spiritual forms, colors, tones, etc., described in the chapters on probation and enlightenment. The first trial consists in obtaining a truer vision than in the case of the average man of corporal attributes of lifeless things, and later of plants. So first learning the matrix, first learning Maya, first learning the illusion, first learning the programs, and then you go into the plants, then you go into the nature, then you go into the deeper forms of human nature. And this does not mean what is called today scientific knowledge, for it's a question not of science but of vision. And then it goes into what we were saying. For physical perception, they are enwrapped in as in a veil. In the falling away of this veil for the would-be initiate consists of the process of designating the process of purification by fire. The first trial is therefore known as the fire trial. Through the fire, through the limit, through the wall. Done to be with you. I'll gladly risk it all through the fire. Y'all gonna remember that. The first trial you go through. So when you go through that hard time, when you think you on the wrong path, know that the first part of the initiation, in order to get to the and to the higher points, is going through that fire trial. For many people, ordinary life itself is more or less unconscious process of initiation through the fire trial. Such people have passed through a wealth of experience so that their self-confidence, courage, and fortitude have been greatly strengthened in a normal manner, while learning to bear sorrow, disappointment, and failure in their undertakings with greatness of soul, and especially with an unbroken strength. That's what you do when you become an initiate. You can go through this, you can make these things that you go through this fire trial, and you can turn it into something that you can use for your betterment of your own soul and your own reality. Thus, they are often initiates without knowing it, but it needs but little to unseal their spiritual hearing and sight, so they can become clairvoyant. For it must be noted that a genuine fire trial is not intended to satisfy the curiosity of the candidate. It is true that he learns many things of which others can have no idea, but this acquisition of knowledge is not the end, but the means to an end. The later consists to the attainment. Thanks to this knowledge of the higher worlds, of greater and truer self-confidence, of a higher degree of courage, you can be acquired and make it through that. The candidate may always turn back after the fire trial. He will then resume his life strengthening the body and soul and wait for the future incarnation to continue its initiation. So we going into another level with that. The signs of the hidden writings are not mere inventions. They correspond to the forces actively engaged in the world. It becomes immediately apparent to the candidate that the signs he is now learning correspond to forms, colors, tones, which he learned to perceive during his probation and enlightenment. Those deeper thoughts and those deeper ways of thinking then create you to have a higher knowledge here and a higher understanding. Whew, whew. Okay. I hope y'all still with me though. And that right there, I'm gonna leave it on that point right there because I want y'all to realize what we did right here. What we did, and when I'm gonna keep going, if you want to stick around, because I got to at least give you some practical tips. I feel wrong to give you all this deep knowledge and not give you some practical tips, at least to do an overview of it. But I want y'all to see what we did here. We started off where we started off, class. We started off talking about Maya, right? We started off talking about the veil, right? We started off talking about the holographic universe and the nature of reality. We started talking about the matrix and the different thoughts. And then we started talking about the mental alchemy. And then we went into the initiation processes that we go through, which is the probation, the enlightenment, and then an initiation into these higher forms of knowledge. And now we have an understanding that it's an esoteric training. It's something that takes steps that we have to be diligent about and devote to. And we don't have to worry about being in a hermit mode or going through these fire trials because it's actually building our muscle up. It's building our vibration up. It's raising us up to a higher frequency where when we step outside, the world that we see compared to the average man may be totally different. You walk outside and you feel the energies. You walk outside and you see the auras. You walk outside and you see the colors. You walk outside and you hear a person's voice and you can feel it in your soul. You walk outside and you can feel the bad. You can feel the good. You are experiencing life because you've been initiated and went beyond the veil. Y'all see me now? Does that make sense? Let me make sure I'm making sense to y'all. Let me make sure I'm making sense to y'all. I want to make sure I'm making sense and not just talking on here and just sounding like a deep person. I want to make sure that this is stuff that you can use that can change your life. Makes sense. Let me hear you say it makes sense. Please let me know if it makes sense to you. These are things that you can live. You are getting initiated right now. You in step one of an initiation of freeing yourself right now. Just even being here. Just being here. When you get done here, you're going to be like, oh man, I'm gonna look at this different. Look at these things and just keep it going. Because you got the power with or without somebody else leading you. You got the books, you got the energy, you got the information. So you got it. Okay, now let me share my screen now. Let me share my screen with y'all with a treat that I'm gonna give you all here. Like I always say, I always make sure that I give something that you can use on your own time. So it's just not me. Always just giving you without having the books behind it and different things like that. So let me share this with y'all real quick here. All right. So this is the part. So this is just a good book that I downloaded that I'm going to give to you all. Can you see that? I want to make sure you all can see that. Spiritual Awakening. Yeah, I hope y'all worked on that shadow workbook. I hope y'all was on that shadow workbook last week. I got to get back on mine, but this right here, this is one of the, like I told you all these deep things and I went in these things, but you also have to use practical tips that you can use to be able to practice these spiritual things, to be able to be initiated, because the more you start doing it, what we say this is a training process. This is a learning process. This is an evolution. This is an everlasting journey. This is your hero's journey. But this is the resource right here. If you can see it, we talking about Spiritual Awakening, a guide to healing and cleansing. We have to identify and reprogram. There you go. Constantly identifying and reprogramming, walking through the fire, standing in the light, learning new things, and keep experiencing life on a higher level. But spiritual awakening. So So just check out some of these sections that it got. I just like workbooks and stuff like that, so it can help you to be to guide you here. So I like this workbook. I didn't create this, but I like this workbook for you to be able to use that can help you with some of these practices with your spiritual awakening. But your energy, so we talk about spiritual explain, spiritual, the body, the mind, the power of thought, feminine and masculine energy. We talk about the section 2 is it goes over, and I'm going to show you this. It goes over how to create a sacred space, your sacred space, center and grounding, how to center and ground yourself. We got healing methods here. We got the beneficial healing methods. We got the benefits of yoga, certain yoga poses to get your body involved in it. Y'all liking that stuff? Y'all liking those things right there? Oh, so this is the way that you can keep going after this. You see what I mean? Like you can keep going. You know what you're doing this for now because you know this is an illusion. But now you can keep it going and you can keep going and building up your. This is like me giving you exercises after I told you what the workout is going to do and how it's going to be on how it's going to make you better. But you know then it talks about the cleansing aspect because we didn't get to talk about protection too much, but this all I can say to protection. The main way that you can protect yourself is to guard your own thoughts. That's the best protection that you have for yourself, to guard your own thoughts, to reprogram your thinking, to think for yourself, to raise your vibration, to practice these things, to do it with an intention. That's the best way to protect yourself. Forget the rituals, trying to curse somebody. You can do that, but I suggest to do the best thing you can do is to guard your thoughts, to guard yourself. That's the main thing. But okay, so this is so it goes in the spiritual cleansing things that you can use, certain aura express. This thing got bath and water cleansing, certain baths that you can use, certain cleanses that you can use, how singing bowls work can help you out, notes you can take, bathing rituals, so bath rituals, sacred baths, the herbs, the fruits, the flowers, the essential oils and the types, the moon baths, the certain moons and different things, because we talk about we talk about the cosmos a lot. We talk about bath recipes in this book. You see how much stuff this is? So I ain't leave y'all with nothing, right? I didn't leave y'all with nothing, right? Y'all get to get this knowledge from me, get an understanding, and get the resources. And then on top of that, you also get to get the techniques that you can use on your own self because you're the one with the power. But this is kind of going into it and going into what spiritual practice is, pretty much what we talked about. And look at this, a spiritual practice is consistent, intentional, developmental. Keep thinking about that. Develop, expressive, nurturing. They should have added creative. So we go into the mind, different mindsets, different beliefs. We go into the body, the soul. They even talk about ancestral healing and different things like that. But the main thing about this download is that you can write it out. Self care means take time to do things for yourself, your desires, the power of your energy. It goes into different feminine energy and masculine energy, and masculine energy, things that we, you know what I'm saying, things that we both have. It doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman, you both have these parts of your nature. It talks about the unbalanced systems, talks about how to balance your energy, ways to balance it, here, your feminine energy, your masculine energy, areas of, look at these questions. When do you feel most connected to your masculine energy? A quote for your masculine energy. Then you go into the essence of thoughts. All these things is for you to be able to free yourself. And then we go into creating a sacred space, how to do it. You see what I'm saying? The purpose of your sacred space, all of this is intention. Connected and rooted, daily grounding practices, going out in nature, how to do it. This is a good one. Start with a slow, steady breathing. Focus on it, and only it. Count to 5 while you breathe in. Just different things. The ego, the soul, what makes your soul happy. So much. Color healing, watercoloring, the chakras, flowers, crystals, sound. Even went into yoga, the different yoga poses, certain notes you can take. And this is the good part right here, the spiritual cleansing. I love this. I love this. When should a spiritual cleanse? Let's read this a little bit. Let's read this a little bit because your day to day you got to be cleansed. Your day to day you got to be fortified. Day to day you got to thank you, Jenny, you're welcome, Jenny, you're welcome. Day to day you got to cleanse yourself. Like that's the most important part, because what we talked about before, what's the main thing that the veil try to control? Your consciousness, your mind, your emotions, the way you see yourself, are you confident in yourself? What people have talked about you, your childhood traumas, all these things is up against you. The day-to-day troubles of just living, just eating and going in sickness and health and things like that. So it's important to do this daily, just like we take a bath. The spiritual world is just as important as the physical world, but you recharge yourself through these ways. You recharging yourself when you doing these exercises. You bringing yourself back into. You go check. You go through the day. You make sure before you end the day, you go check in with your spirit. Before you go to sleep, don't go to sleep angry. Check in with your spirit. I listen to certain things, subliminal meditations while I go to sleep. You know what I mean? So I can be in that spiritual world, so I can come to the physical world, and that's why I can wake up in the morning and have these downloads that I can share with the world. You see what I'm saying? That's where it's coming from. I hear these things based on me working on myself. And the more I work on myself, the more I go through the fire, the more I start doing these initiations, the more downloads I get, the more things that, and then you start talking so high. That's why I said vibrate so high that they can't even hear you. You feel me? Appreciate that, Janelle. Janelle put a great link in here for you all that may help you out here from YouTube. Another one is Jason Stevenson. That's a good one. And Brian Scott. Jason Stevenson and Brian Scott. If you have a problem with sleeping, if you have an issue with sleeping, try sleep meditations. Definitely try Joe what did I say? Brian Scott and Jason Stevenson. He will knock you out in 10 seconds. You'll be out of here. You'll be in the astral realm before you know it. So Jason Stevenson, and yeah, if you have trouble sleeping, if you can't stop your mind, but get your energy right, that's why I say you always protect yourself daily. Shower, take showers, clean your body, and then clean your energy. So when should a spiritual cleansing be performed? After an illness or a surge of bad luck. That's another thing I want to talk about. When you're going through a lot of bad luck, make sure you stop and cleanse yourself. Use this book, use these baths that it's talking about. Stop and cleanse yourself so you can break that cycle of that same thing. Now, it could be a trial of fire and it could be these fire trials, but if you're feeling like something is just holding you back and you can't even get into your spiritual practices while you're going through this, make sure that's the time to do it. Yeah, Satchel says she always go to Jason. Yes, Jason Stevenson will knock you out. I'm telling you, if you have, we used to be in the bed and we'll be sitting there for like 10 seconds. Next thing we know, we'll be like, I'll wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning. What happened? And I hear, and this video's like 8 hours, so he's still talking. So he's still guiding you through certain things, but the video's like 9 hours and 8 hours. And also put in the chat if somebody can. Also Brian Scott. And Brian Scott breaks down a lot of these books that I'm showing you all at a easier breakdown too. But he got some great meditation. Thank you, Jenny. I love the way y'all participate. I love the way y'all participate. Hopefully we'll be able to get a better community here, where we'll see each other much more often, if you all are interested in that. But yeah, so Jason Stevenson, oh, you know about him? Okay. Brian Scott, yes, Jenny. Jenny been to all of them, I believe, since I first began this, I believe, if I ain't mistaken. This is awesome. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah, if you can't sleep, hit that sleep meditation, hit them frequencies, and watch what happens. Jason Stevenson, Brian Scott. Oh, why did I even talk about that? So, oh yeah, because sleeping is another way to reprogram yourself. So listening to subliminals, that's an amazing way to reprogram yourself because you're in that state of mind where you relax, and those subliminals can hit your subconscious, changing your program on the outside. Just like I said, by riding in your car, listening, engulfing yourself in this type of knowledge, engulfing your algorithm in this type of understanding. Now, of course, you got to go to the other side because you got to realize reality. You can't be all the way up. You got to go to the low that we talked about. But engulfing yourself in these type of informations, watching documentaries, watching things, looking at history lessons, getting all these things to expand yourself because it's going to make you stronger and it's going to make your power stronger. So engulfing yourself in this type of things, having it on your wall, just a book you walk past and you subconsciously think about something. I got $100, golden $100 right here. I got pictures of kings and queens and stuff like that. Just things to trigger your subconscious throughout your day because you might not notice it, but throughout your day, your subconscious is picking that up. And that's another way to cultivate it. So listening to those meditations in the background while you're doing other tasks, cleaning up, listening to songs that resonate with you, that power you up. All of these are things that are strengthening and exercising your consciousness to expand and part of your initiation. And you will go faster when you engulf yourself in that, just like if you was to hit the gym every day. Hope that makes sense. But back to the subject at hand. I'm relaxing on the back, so I'm glad you understand from a young G's perspective. But anyway, tailoring a spiritual practice to your needs can bring mental clarity, help with stress and anxiety, and become a long-term energy management tool. This is long-term. We're going to do this the rest of our lives. Thank you, Janelle, for putting that in there. Thank you guys again. We're going to do this for the rest of our lives. You know what I'm saying? This is not going to be something that you stop just today and while you're young. We're going to do this the rest of our lives as it changes. But long-term energy management tool, acknowledging negativity and performing spiritual cleansing rituals can lead to the feeling of lighter physically, emotionally, and energetically. It won't even matter what happened that day once you take that bath. I'm trying to tell you, once you burn that sage and you take that bath and you light that candle and you get in that water and you have that intention to purify yourself, whatever happened that day, it won't matter. Yeah, that's your jam, man. Snoop Dogg. I love rap music, y'all. I'm sorry. I love hip hop. I love music. As y'all can see with some of my posts, I love music. Music is another way to be able to express yourself. I make music. I don't make music, but I can rap a little bit and I can do things. That's why I probably fell for Trina. She make music. So I love music, and you should love you find music that resonate with you and do these exercises too. These are all other ways. You don't have to be no gospel music. I be listening to Boosie and Tupac. I'm telling you, unconditional love from this thing. See, the things change. The future's still inside of me. You must remember that the light comes after the dark, so you will always be in my heart with unconditional love. But anyway, so spirit bath and water cleansing. I'm just really talking now, y'all, if y'all ain't paid no attention, because we didn't got into some deep topics. I just wanted to kind of break down some, just live your life. Just live your life. But the benefits of these baths, they help out with the skin as well as circulation. These muscular aids, it helps with the body. So these things are being scientifically proven as well, even though we ain't worried about if science need to know about it. We already know what that Epsom salt gonna do. We already know the cleansing aspects of salt. So you see, you got the ingredients. I haven't did this one though, but I haven't did it with the almond oil, but I do put petals in there, essential oils. It tells you what to do. Certain psalms help. As I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil, for thy art with me. Psalms work. You can do that while you're doing your bath. I shall walk through the valley of the shadow of death. I shall fear no evil, for thou art with me. So walk through the valley of the shadow of death. I take a look at my life and realize there's nothing left, because I've been messing and laughing so long that. But the human body is made up of 70% water, which makes it one of the best elements for transmuting energy around the body. Drink a cup of water. Add your favorite fruits or herbal tea. We had the tea going on today that turned me up. Set intentions with water. Add it to your cooking. Get you some plants. Water your plants. Do things like this. This is all ways to go past the veil. Herb and sponge cleansing. It tell you the benefits of this. It clears negative energies, even to the point of molecular structures and bacteria in the air. All of that is metaphysical. Herbs for spudging, it goes over that using a feather. Different crystals. As you can see, I put the pyrite on tonight. This is from Crystal Alchemy, by the way, pyrite here, but you can use crystal quartz, which is clear for cleansing. These different things like this. We go into auric sprays, things that you can buy. Sovereign sells those at the Serious Sage shop. They got all these things that if you're in Augusta, Georgia, or if you want to check them out online, Serious Sage. I'm also coming with a metaphysical store soon. We'll have all these products, but yeah, the auras, sprays, the different grounding, love and protection. We go into yeah, singing bowls. We just did a sound bath. Me and Sovereign had a sound bath at Serious Sage where we go into the sound cleansing. We went into a whole nother trance level. We got so much here. We got so much here. Cleansing in nature and your spiritual cleansing. You got different ways to do it, different notes and things like that. It goes into the baths and being able to write what happened, certain herbs. I love cinnamon. I love using cinnamon. Y'all get the point though, right? Y'all got the point, right? Oh wow, mood baths. I thought that was moon baths, but mood baths, certain love bath, creativity, certain things with intentions. They got certain things, zodiac baths. You see what I'm saying? Oh, there it is, moon baths. So new moon. What did we just have? We just had a super moon, I believe. Waxing baths. Yeah, yeah. And this other stuff from the people that made it though, but yeah. Energy amplifiers, sunlight, music, outdoors, breathing exercises, all these things raise your energy. If energy vampires, getting away from them, mood trackers, yeah. Woo! Class, how y'all feeling? I think that's it. I think we're gonna wrap it up. I think we're gonna wrap it up. Patrina, looking forward to the next class. Thank you. I love to hear that. If you can rate me over there, I'm not telling you what to rate, but if you put a rating here, some 5 stars if you liked it. Even if you didn't like it, put your rating over there. I hope you did like it, but if you didn't, just put the rating out there. That really helps me get out there more on Eventbrite. We're going to keep these things going. I thank you, Jenny. I thank you, Janelle. I thank you, 2024. I thank you, Sovereign. I thank you, Sagi. I thank you, Amor. I thank you, Elizabeth. I thank you, Jenny. I thank you, Ancient Intuition. I thank you, Patrina. I thank you, Lakrita. I think she just left. I thank you, Lakrita. Miss Corley. I thank everybody. I think Jamel was down there. I thank the people that's going to see this later. I appreciate you all. Y'all got any questions for me? You got anything you want to say? Anything you want to drop? You can even get off mute if you like. Anything anybody want to say or do, or forever hold your peace? I love it though. Can't wait to the next class. Love that. Love that. And next time we'll build on what y'all think about some of your exercises. That's why I think it's good to have to have more of a built-in class, more people. I mean, like a community though. But people got to sign up for it. Then we can keep it going. Thank y'all. Thank y'all. We in there. Amazing class. Can't wait for the next class. Thank y'all. Thank y'all so much. Well, we gonna end it here, family. If nobody don't have anything to say or anything they wanna put out there, we'll go ahead and say our goodbyes for the night. Hope you all have a good night. Make sure y'all check out Jason Stevenson tonight and Brian Scott. I'll be sending over that email in the next 2 days. And you got any questions for me, reach out. If you want to talk to me private, reach out through the email that I sent y'all. I got y'all. I got y'all. I got y'all. Thank y'all. Recording has stopped.